92.8 CX, Indianapolis.
We had a lot of great players, and I feel like the main thing for us was to stay locked in on defense. You know, defense was pretty bad second half, and you know, second rebounding and second shots really hurt us in the second half. So I feel like that was a big part of the reason why we lost today.
The opportunities, you know, you're getting certain opportunities for certain teams, depending on whether they double or they don't. Because I think we have a very unselfish team, but, you know, you're going to go play certain teams and they're just going to take away your threes. Then you're going to play the next team and they're just going to double him every time and take him away. You know, it just depends on what comes. But no matter what they do, like, you know, you can still have good ball control and take good shots.
You know, I came in out of the timeout. I'm like, guys, we just sitting here trading buckets, you know, and we can't trade the rest of the game. Somebody's got to make a stand. And we came out of that timeout. I talked about getting 3 or 4 stops, and we got a lot of stops and was able to get out and make plays in the open court offensively to get the cushion that we needed going in at halftime.
One more knee will do it. The Philadelphia Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl.
This game is over. You can doubt the Chiefs. You can dislike the Chiefs. You can disrespect the Chiefs. You're going to have to deal with the Chiefs as the AFC champions.
Who do you think made the audio clips today? Jimmy Cook's back producing. He was up till 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's here. I'm Brendan King, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan, a very special guest for the next few days from Wish TV and all Indiana bets. It's our good buddy Scott Long. But, Scott, why are you here?
Spent my whole life hearing that, even at parties, which is not great. I will tell you right now, like many of you probably, I don't know if you guys, Jimmy, Brendan, did you get, like, you know how you get jury summons? I got one today to apply to be the next Colts coach. So I went to West 56, and on my way over, I'm like listening to the fan. I'm like, hey, I bet they could have a little use of me here. So I'm applying here too. And at the end of the show, what am I going to do? Flying to Hollywood. I'm applying to be the newest boy toy for Olivia Wilde. That is my 3 jobs today. I'm just looking for jobs that have openings. I'm not really boy bandish, you know. And let me, if you've not seen my guy Brendan, he could have been in One Direction.
That's what I've been told my whole life. I mean, that they started when I was in high school. So, I mean, I should have.
Yeah.
I should have been in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They used to have bigger guys in some of the boy bands. I don't know if you're quite fit enough now to be.
Probably not. You
look more like a really good-looking TV announcer.
I appreciate that, though.
Yeah, you can hide it with the jackets.
That's what I'm saying. You know, you got to have a good suit.
Yes.
Got to have a good suit for sure. That's Scott Long. I'm Brendan King. Jimmy Cook is here. The Kansas City Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl. Jimmy, get on mic because you deserve it. Tell us about last night.
Nervous throughout the whole game. I'll be honest, and I'm not ashamed to admit this. Bengals are an extremely talented team. When they got the ball with about 1:20 to go and the Chiefs punted, and then Hayden Hurst picked up that 3rd and 18, things were getting tight. It was like, this might be the beginning of the end. And they stepped up. Heck of a return by Sky Moore.
Hell of a return.
Heck of a run by Patrick Mahomes. Gutsy performance overall by him. Chris Jones did exactly what I said he was going to do last week. He had to have the game of his life, and he did. I do feel bad for, I can't remember his first name, escaped me, but Oshai of the Bengals.
Yeah.
I feel awful for that kid because that's one of those plays that's probably going to follow you for a really long time. But his teammates, minus one of them, appeared to pick him up in the locker room, picked him up post-game. So I do feel bad for him. That was the right call. Mahomes 2 steps out of bounds. Any quarterback, you do that too, you're going to get flagged. Harrison Bucket, game winner. They're going back to the Super Bowl. It's a beautiful time.
I
Never
love it.
thought I'd see it.
I love it. Scott Long, if you're looking at the transitive property,
Right.
the Colts are technically going to the Super Bowl, considering they beat the Chiefs, and
Yeah.
they basically had the Eagles beat. So why don't we just name them Super Bowl champs?
You know, you went into that top 4 teams, and these were the best 4 teams. Like last year when the Bengals made it, they weren't one of the 4 best teams. They made it. This year they were, and I'm so stoked to watch the 49ers and the Eagles, and then the 49ers just start losing players left and right. By the third quarter, I'm like, I feel like the Colts offense has taken, like, let's see how Kyle Shanahan can coach the 2022 Indianapolis Colts, because that was what he was given. He was given a guy who couldn't throw the ball or really move at this point, Matt Ryan. And there we go. And we've seen Kyle Shanahan get Matt Ryan to the Super Bowl and still lose. Oh, my Lord. And we're still banging on Matt Ryan. Yes, we are. I'm still bitter over this whole season. God, was that a letdown, that NFC Championship, though?
It was 31-7 Eagles over the Niners. I mean, I think at one point, Scott, they were about to call you to play quarterback.
You know, that was the 4th on my list behind
Yeah,
Boy
I was going to
Toy,
say, there's an
Olivia
available job right there.
Wilde. And who knows who the Colts quarterback, I don't know if I'm as good as Sam, our current, quarterback.
Technically, he is the quarterback, isn't he?
Yeah, Ellinger for now. But I feel like I could back up about as well as Nick Foles did. I mean, that guy, he looked like, oh, my Lord, I've spent a lot of time on the bench. I really like just making $2 million a year and holding the clipboard. And that was kind of how the whole 49ers, Eagles happened. So then we turn on the Chiefs and the Bengals, which that should be a series, right? They should just play
best
every
of 3
week.
Yeah,
at least best of 3. Best of 7. Let's go
Could you
best of
imagine
7.
if a football was best of 7? I mean, people would kill each other.
Well, there was not a lot of Chiefs left by the end of the game, was there, Jimmy?
No, there's not. They were down to a name that I never thought I'd hear, and this name matters nothing to Indianapolis radio, but Marcus Kemp, who was on the practice squad at times this year, caught a first down pass in the 4th quarter. Like, no, I didn't have that on my bingo card. But to your point about the NFC Championship game being kind of a dud, that game was anything but. It lived up to all the hype around it.
Yeah.
From every angle all week long.
Well, as I think about the AFC Championship, guys, if you're looking from a local perspective, this is what the Colts are supposed to get to.
Yeah.
That level of play. Chiefs, Bengals, you could throw in any other team, too, that competed in the AFC. That's what the Colts were supposed to look like this year. Those were the expectations. A lot of people had the Colts winning 10 games, Scott. No chance.
I have lived in Indianapolis since 1990. And really, up until last year, I could count on one of the 2 teams in the playoffs, the Pacers or the Colts. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I have looked at the ratings of 107.5 The Fan. They're doing amazing, but guess how much better it would be if people wanted to, enjoy the teams. It's a low land. So why am I here? You asked that question a little bit ago, Brendan. This city needs comedy. Sports talk needs some laughs.
Always.
I'll talk sports, but we need a few jokes thrown in there too. Look, if you want optimism, go to Lifestyle Live or Indie Style or whatever those shows are where people have hair like Brendan and they come out there and they talk and they make food. But sports talk, you got to be truthful, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we don't claim to be the brightest minds in here. We just try to have some fun, Scott.
Oh, I would never been invited if it was brightest minds.
I'm saying, you're joining the command center in here. Me and Jimmy have been passing the time in here for the last couple months, so we're glad to have you.
Well, I'm glad to be here and watching yesterday. Then you got to wait 2 weeks. What do we think about this week off thing with the Super Bowl? I mean, the Chiefs.
I
Jimmy's
love it, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
This year.
You'll take it. Do we know who's broadcasting the Super Bowl?
It's Fox.
Okay, I was going to say, because here's my next question for you.
You're a broadcasting professional, Brendan.
Some would claim. Tony Romo, what do you think? He's getting to be a little much, guys.
He's making too many noises and throwing out words that don't make some sense when he gets excited.
It was fun at first.
And Scott, it's funny you asked that. Scott actually brought that up.
I brought
to me
it up.
Really? Okay.
To start the show.
Well, I had a weird moment. See, I'm a stand-up comedian too. I do all Indiana bets. I got half the jobs that Greg Rakestraw has. So I'm somewhere between Steve Harvey and Greg Rakestraw for jobs. Okay. No. So what I'm trying to say is, I was outside of Omaha, Nebraska, Saturday night doing a big corporate event. That's what I do.
That's what you said you were doing.
Yeah. So it's hard to fly back and forth. I drove. So I drove and
that's where you called me from.
Yes, I listened to both games on the radio. First game, oh my gosh, Ian Eagle and Kurt Warner. Let me tell you, that was an amazing broadcast. And then I've got friends telling me, yeah, well, what's Kevin
Harlan?
No, what's the Fox guy now? Burkhart. He always sounds like the third game. And I mean, that would be a great honor to be the third game, but he doesn't sound like the first game or the second game announcer. Okay, then you got Greg Olson, who I like, and I think we'll kind of get into it eventually, though he sounds like Bill Hader. Listen to Bill Hader sometime, the guy from Saturday Night Live and all that. What's Barry on HBO?
Yeah.
He sounds identical to him. And so I'm listening to Kurt Warner break the game down, and he's talking about how Jalen Hurts, he's a young quarterback. Kurt Warner's a great guy, but he's honest. And he's like, he is missing a lot of stuff out there. He is not reading the defense. And they're, obviously killing the 49ers. But if you look at the statistics for that game, the Eagles' offense was not impressive at all. It was just, what's this 49ers team going to do against us without a quarterback? So listening to that was really good. Then it was Kevin Harlan. And
he came on the show about a month ago. He was awesome.
He's amazing.
The GOAT.
Yeah, my son, that's the one guy he knows because he plays NBA video games.
2K, yeah.
2K. So
I mean, if there was ever a person that can narrate my life, I'd pick Kevin Harlan.
Did you tell him that when he came on?
No, I felt like that would have been a little weird.
Did you tell him you have a GPS that sounds like him, though?
I do, secretly. Secretly, I like to hide that, though.
Do you do a Kevin Harlan impression?
No, that can't. I don't know. I think that would be disrespectful at that point.
No,
Jimmy's also a play-by-play guy.
I am. I don't have a Kevin Harlan.
I don't have a Kevin Harlan.
I secretly have him as my Alexa voice instead, though. So he gives me all my notifications and alerts.
But still, the Romo thing, this is why I asked, because did you guys catch, and I'm not sure if you would have been home by then, but
I watched the replay of it. I've slept nothing.
You don't look like it at all.
Exactly. I'm only 24 years old, but look at me.
Look at you. Romo
if you're a fan of one of the two teams playing last night, and maybe this is the measurement of a good color analyst nowadays, I don't know. I can't stand Tony Romo. Like when the Chiefs were doing bad,
Jim puts up with
it was because he loses his mind over the most little things, like they are otherworldly plays, and sometimes they are, but sometimes it's just a normal completion. He's like, "Oh, this could be really big, Jim." It's a holding call. It's going to move it back 10 yards.
Tony.
You can tell when something's off the cuff, and you can tell when something's planned in broadcasting. Usually, when he said the Jordan and Clyde line, that guy was planning that since last week at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. He had that ready all week long. I mean, I don't know, man. I liked Romo to start. It was fun. It was refreshing. People were like, "Oh, how in the world is this guy predicting the plays like this? We've never seen anything like this."
Yep.
And Jimmy and I were talking before, and I think what's happened is, Tony's not predicting the plays as well. Yesterday or last night, he could be better at it because Joe Burrow is a more talented Tony Romo. Mahomes is on another planet. You can't always predict what he's going to do. But now that you got these six-back offenses and you've got Jalen Hurts and you got Lamar Jackson, Tony Romo cannot predict what those offenses are. The game is evolving. We're going to see that with the Colts. Are the Colts going to take Levis and play more of a pro style? Or are you going to take Bryce Young and try to make him more of a Jalen Hurts offense? That's the Colts' decisions. Or are we going to take Stroud and be somewhere in between? I just listen to Tony Romo now, and I listen to a guy like, I just made $21 million. I make $1 million a game. I'm just more focused now on my golf.
The only other theory I have, and I have no way to prove this or validate it, minus calling the CBS higher-ups whose contact information I do not have.
Let's have him on the show.
Great. Is maybe they told him to tone it down on the predictions. That's the only other thing I think.
Really?
Let the play breathe and then react to it afterwards. That's the only other theory I have.
Well, he's not letting anything breathe. That's
Well, yeah.
That's
See, they got lost in translation somewhere.
He's like,
half of it was understood.
Yeah.
You want me to talk more during the play, but just not predict it. Okay, good. All right. Yeah.
Consultants wreck everything. You think I'm going to get the job after saying that? I'm not. I'm living just to shoot. We're going to have fun.
You are admitting that you're applying for this job.
I just did right now. If I don't get the Colts job or the Olivia Wilde boy toy, and my wife, who I've been with for 30 years, she is totally on board with this.
I don't want to put any pressure on you, but Jeff Saturday's also applied for this job. So I just want you to know you got him on West 56th and here to worry about.
Okay, good point. Are you guys have some guesses on what my interview was like and maybe some of the questions that they asked? Because one of them was, do you have any experience as a head coach or an assistant coach in the NFL? I told him, no, I don't. Totally cool with that over in Indianapolis for the Colts. Then they asked me, they're like, well, have you done anything else? I'm like, I did TV. I talk about sports on TV. They're like, we love that. Are you in the Ring of Fame? I'm like, I'm up for it. I'd be fine. I don't know if everyone would recognize me. I do know a lot of the people in the Ring of Fame, if that counts for something. So I feel like I got about a 25% chance right now.
All you have to do is tell her, say that you went to one game when Peyton Manning was the quarterback.
Oh,
and you'll be good.
I went to games when Curtis Painter was, so I feel like I should at least get 2 weeks as the coach.
You should get 2 interviews at this point. You should get a second interview. In all seriousness, the Colts are conducting second interviews, and maybe DeMeco Ryans, who the Colts have been waiting on till the end of the season, that was not the best way to go into a head coaching interview for the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, losing 31-7, but
not his fault.
Not necessarily. He wasn't the one.
That's a question I want to ask both of you, by the way.
Go.
If the Texans get Ryans, and it is reported that he's their front runner, but it's been said 4 or 5 different ways. So is the team pushing that out? Probably. But is there truth to it as well? Potentially. Does that impact things at all here? If a candidate the Colts kind of had their eye on gets plucked by a division rival?
I don't feel like the Colts ever have seen him as a front runner. I've not heard anybody that ever thought he was one of the front runners. If like Raheem Morris took the job in Houston, maybe. If Jeff Saturday took the job in Houston, that would be a very sad day at the Irsay Mansion. And someday on the show, I'll tell you my story of when the Colts hired me to perform for their corporate clients at the Super Bowl, and it includes many of the people that you might have known in the front office and a bus ride where I appear on the bus and Cato Caitlin from the OJ trial is sitting right next to me on the thing. That is the merry fun that goes on in our city with the Colts. You're going to see that with all those buttoned down. Kansas City with Lamar Hunt and his family. Besides the granddaughter is big on Instagram, right? Is that?
She's attractive.
Yeah. Okay, Jimmy. And I'm surprised our first guest wasn't Mitch Holthus, the play-by-play announcer of the Kansas City Touchdown Kansas City. Jimmy, let's hear your version of it.
Touchdown Kansas City. I think that's pretty close, personally.
Is that
anyway,
good? I've never heard the guy
it for you. But anyway, I obviously he would have been busy. But 2, some of the chat got upset with me.
He's got 2 weeks off.
Yeah, the chat, let me get to the second point. Second point's more important. The chat would have been unhappy with us because I had him on. We were doing a segment last summer with getting the fans ready for the regular season, and we were previewing each opponent, and we got to the Chiefs, and Mitch Holthus went a little bit longer, and I'm obviously a Chiefs fan, so I wasn't like mad about it. I didn't get any pushback like in the building from it, but the chat was very hostile about it.
Wrap it up,
because these play-by-play guys, they're homers, right? Yeah. Like that's half their job.
Yeah.
For the most part.
We know a homer play-by-play guy that we had on this show, didn't we?
So we do. So anyway, That's part of it too. Is that I understand no one really cares about my Chiefs. It's what it is. It's fine.
Was that a big ruse that you set up that whole thing to talk to all the other play-by-play announcers just so you could talk to the Chiefs? Mitch Holtz, touchdown, Kansas City. That's his call, and it's a great one. It's probably that one and the guy from Minneapolis. What's the guy?
No.
He's the best.
I would love
Scott, please.
The pro wrestler
Scott.
I would
that you just said a no in the command center. We can't have that.
Okay,
here.
but he's not a baseball guy. You don't want him as the baseball.
Oh,
guy.
I don't care what sport he is. I had a serious problem with him based off how he called the Colts and Vikings game. I don't know if you saw the I could show you during the break. I don't know if you saw the highlights of his call from that game.
I would like to hear it in one of the next couple days. If you could, I want to hear some of that. We will break it down maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, we can break down the tape, and I'll show you exactly why there is a problem here.
Paul Allen.
Well, I was trying not to use his name.
I've been on a show in Minneapolis.
You have, okay. So now you can tell. Now you could go and be like, "Hey, I worked with this guy that has a serious problem with your play-by-play."
I like this. Problems already.
No issues. It's just it was a bit much. Anyway, but nobody's better than Matt Taylor touchdown INDY.
Love Matt Taylor.
I mean
I don't even know why we have Don Fisher when we could just call Matt Taylor as Don Fisher.
He does do a good Don. I've heard
he does a spectacular Don.
It's a spectacular Don Fisher, but we have Don Fisher coming up. Is that
we do it?
Was that a professional tease? What I just did?
Yeah.
Radio professional.
Almost like you've been here before.
Took 20 minutes.
You have done some shows on the Fan before, haven't you?
I have, but they put me on Saturday mornings where no one would hear me. I would follow a Soccer Saturday,
Greg Rakestraw's coming on today, too.
We are going to have a fun game with Greg Rakestraw. Here's the idea. Greg Rakestraw, who has about 15 jobs, my idea is he can only talk for either 1 or 2 minutes. We'll ask him one question for each one of his jobs. He can only talk for a minute or two, then we cut him off and tell him, next job, next job.
I mean, like you said, Rake might be the next host of Family Feud when Steve Harvey.
There's a buzzer sound behind the board. I can use that too.
We have got to use that.
Survey says.
I wasn't that ready. I just know where it is.
Favorite Family Feud host?
Ooh.
You guys are young because you don't go back to Richard Dawson. There used to be a guy from Cincinnati. I can't even think. Ray Combs.
I see.
I go back to Dawson because Game Show Network would be on a lot of the time in my house. So I
Game Show Network.
Yes. Okay. So I
was a big match game guy growing up. Well,
that's the
watching
best.
on GSN.
Gene Rayburn.
Gene Rayburn, the thin
Brett Summers,
microphone.
Charles Nelson Riley, whole crew. Yep.
Dawson was on. Betty White was on there.
Yep.
I was telling a friend of mine just last night. I see Charles Woodson, and he always wears an ascot. Like he wants to
Fred
be
from
the
Scooby-Doo?
next. No, he wants to be the next Charles Nelson Riley.
Oh yeah.
Like I now call him Charles Nelson Woodson. That is my guy.
But to answer your question, Richard Karn was when I was a kid.
Oh, he was the worst.
Really?
The worst.
No, Louis Anderson was the worst.
No, he's the best.
Really?
Because he seemed exhausted the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Richard Karn brought some energy.
He didn't even like that. Unless there was best 5 fast food places. Louis Anderson, Louis was, God rest his soul, awesome guy, great comedian. Unlike most comedians, like to help other comedians. I'm not that guy. If you're a young comedian right now, don't hit up my Twitter or Facebook. Hey, can I go out on the road with you? No, you can't. I'm not ready for that. That includes you, Brendan.
I don't claim to be a comedian. So.
I've turned people into comedians before. I'm famous for that here. I had my celebrity stand-up, which has included former or past celebrities here, including JMV twice. He's great.
Yeah, what were you? See, it was when I was an intern. There was a roast of JMV. Was that you?
I was the host of that. We don't talk about that publicly.
Oh, okay.
That event has been burned.
A bad night.
It can never be heard. They erased the tapes. There was a couple people, especially one, who did not serve himself well. Though he served himself really well before he performed. I know some of you are like, I'd like to hear names. I usually give you names. This time I'm not. But JMV, He was great.
Well, maybe we could get the off-the-air story when we toss it to break here in a couple of minutes.
First time Mark Boyle did it, best anybody's ever done.
Really?
Oh, Mark Boyle, hilarious. But I've had all kinds of people, Rakestraw, Dan Dockage, all kinds of people do my celebrity stand-up. We raise money for kids with programs that work with kids with disabilities, Special Olympics, Best Buddies. A lot of people know me as that, like nice person who helps.
You seem like a nice guy.
Not when it comes to if you make $1 million or more, I'm going to light you up if you don't do your job. Like you were talking about, Jimmy, the guy that knocked out Burrow. It's like, I felt so badly for him. Knocked him. I mean, not Burrow, but Mahomes. Yep. I'm sorry. At Burrowhead Stadium. I'm sure you enjoyed that all week.
I did. Loved it all week.
Yeah.
I can't say what Travis Kelce said last night, but it
had a jabroni, right?
Well, not that part, but yeah, I meant the earlier one when he referenced Burrowhead. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. Who was the guy again that knocked him out of bounds, and then Harris Buckner got the 15 extra yards, which he needed because that ball would not
Joseph Oshai.
Okay, and I know you're like, I feel so badly for him. I don't feel badly for him at all. If I'm a Bengals fan, you're a Chiefs fan. I feel badly for him. Think if it had been turned around.
Yeah, in the moment, look, I'm not, in the moment, I would have been hostile. But I have more human elements that still creep into my sports.
See, that's easy to say until something happens to you.
Like, I'm not saying I would have been very mad. Like, I would have been mad. But,
we talk and throw something at the TV?
Brendan.
No, I don't throw things at the TV.
That's a nice guy.
Jimmy's a great guy.
There's some...
Jimmy's my guy.
I'll be angry. I'm not going to throw anything. But that's... It's not his fault. They had the ball twice. The Bengals had the ball twice in the fourth quarter to put that game away, and they couldn't do it. It's not his fault. That's the cataclysmic moment, but it's not his fault they lost that game.
Is it part of his fault?
Yeah, sure.
You got to be smarter.
Got to be smarter.
Because that's 15 yards that they would not have been. It was going to be a Hail Mary otherwise. They were not kicking that ball, I don't believe, because you saw with the win there.
I think they would have. I think they would have tried to run one more to the sideline.
Yeah.
And then throw the Hail Mary. But yes, you're right. Did it change the whole game? Yes, there's no doubt about that. But the Bengals, arguably the most prolific offense in terms of receiving core in the NFL, had two opportunities to close that game out. They didn't do it. So, no, I don't fully blame him. I'd be more bad at the Bengals offense and unable to get
Jimmy,
one more big play.
You've heard I'm applying for every job that's available open right now. Coach of the Colts. This one, Olivia Wilde's boy toy. If you missed that, I'm going to be out on a flight to Hollywood later tonight. She likes comedians. She was with Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, what's the difference between you two?
Big. I wouldn't be applying for this or the Colts job if I was Jason Sudeikis.
That's Scott Long. I'm Brendan King. Jimmy Cook is here. Coming up next, Don Fisher is going to join us to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers and their five-game winning streak. Tony East at 1:30, Greg Rakestraw at 2. Fish is with us next on The Fan.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. Hey, this is JMV. We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my bald spot in my crown area and PRP to keep my hairline and non-transplanted hair looking good. This year, they can restore your bald spot and your hairline. Call 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life, and that's exactly what I want. Call 317-522-2995 to schedule your free evaluation. That's 317-522-2995, and check out my results at WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard in hair restoration. JMV here for the absolute best in realty. That's Mark Deedle. Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. That's markdeedle.com, MarkDietel.com. Today, the guarantees that we all love. In fact,
Mark Dietel guarantees an offer in 3 days for full market value, or he will list it for free. Nothing better than that. And then the outcome of those that have used Mark before, like Chris and Carly in Indianapolis. They were going to get jobs moving out of the country, which they were excited about, but the prospect of trying to get something done with their Indy home was a little bit daunting until they called on the absolute best. That's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel got the job done. The best in realty, that's Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today.
Guys, the party tonight is at Dancers Show Club on West Washington Street. Dancers is Indy's premier gentlemen's club. It's just minutes from downtown, the airport, and the track, so you're never far from the action. 3 main stages, the most entertainers, sports on the big screens, bottle service, weekly specials on food and drink, and 8,000 square feet of fun. Bachelor parties, divorce parties, birthday parties. Whatever the occasion, the party is at Dancers Show Club. Open till 3 a.m. 7 days a week. DancersShowClub.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can find options that fit your budget, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, like when I hold the door for someone. Sure, it may be weird if I don't time it right, and they're a little too far away, and now they're running. And we're both asking ourselves, is it worth it to run instead of just, letting them open their own door?
But still, it's the right thing to do. So get options based on your needs with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Fed Chair Powell said home values will likely continue to erode for some time. Now is the smart time to lock in your home's current higher value. Get paid in cash and not have to move. Learn more at TrueHold.com.
The Pacers are back home to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Thursday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Town, and I live in a small town. Rather die in a small town, small community.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
8 ranked teams lost on Saturday in college basketball. It was Murderer's Row this weekend in the top 25. Could the Indiana Hoosiers find themselves back in the top 25 here soon? We'll find that out. Hoosiers are on a 5-game winning streak. I'm Brendan King with Scott Long, Wish TV, and all Indiana bets. Jimmy Cook is here and with us on the hotline, brought to you by the Mower Shop in Fishers and themowershop.com, is Don Fisher, the voice of the Hoosiers, joining us for his weekly segment. Fish, how about that one against Ohio State and the shooting, especially 50% from deep?
Well, that's been kind of an ongoing thing this year for this basketball team. I'm talking about the improvement in their three-point shooting. Not that we've had a ton of it, but we've had much better shooting from three-point range this year than we have in a long time. And I'm talking about maybe 6 or 7 years. But that said, the performance against Ohio State was really, really good. And the first half was kind of a nip-and-tuck thing until they got to the last television timeout prior to the first half ending, and with 3:59 to go, Indiana went on a 17-1 scoring spree that absolutely dictated the ball game for the rest of the way. And Indiana, of course, had a 16-point lead at halftime and never really relinquished that. I think it maybe got down to 10 one time, but never got inside single digits. So Indiana just really kind of dominated Ohio State in that sense.
Don Fisher, I'm Scott Long. I always refer to you as Don Fisher. I feel like you are a two-name person. You are like, have you trademarked that, by the way? Can I ask you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's kind of what I'm known for. So you nailed that one, Fish. I'm going to tell you right now, you have had the most up and down job possible, because some schools, they're always like in the middle. Either the sky is falling or we're going to win the national championship. That is what an IU fan thinks. Basically, it could happen over one day. How do you handle the ups and downs? Because you're always smooth. You're always good. You've dealt with many different coaches. I don't know if you're aware. Sometimes you've had a different coach since you've been doing that job.
Yeah, well, I do know I've had a bunch of coaches throughout the years without question. But, you know, the ups and downs from a play-by-play perspective, I just love doing play-by-play. And if I really get caught up in just wins and losses, you know, I would have a tough time, especially from football perspective. So, no, I enjoy it so much. That's the job that I wanted to get into when I was a youngster, and I got into play-by-play, and the next thing you know, I get to Indiana. And so I've been able to do this for a long time now, and it's been such a rush in that sense because I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And so I don't get too caught up in the wins and loss aspect of it, other than the fact that you just don't like to lose, and especially when you're expected to win. And obviously Indiana basketball for several years now has really struggled on a consistent basis to be a winner. So to get back into that win column a little bit and get to the NCAA last year after a 4-year drought or 5-year drought, whatever it was. And then, you know, this team has actually looked pretty good here of late. It's just fun. It's fun to be a part of it. The ups and downs are all a part of that. And if you take that into consideration, you'll be okay.
A follow-up to that, you know, 3 weeks ago, the sky's falling. Now things look great. The team is really, it's a team. I mean, that's the thing that when I watch the Hoosiers, the last 3 or 4 or 5 games, it's just like the players seem to kind of, maybe that's because Xavier Johnson, they know he's not going to be there now, but the passing's better, it's crisper, there's less turnovers. They just seem to be, what, is there like one ingredient that's happened with that when you watch with your expert advice all these years as a Hoosier announcer? Is there like one thing that you can point to or two?
Well, the one thing that I always think is a critical factor, whether you're going to be a good team or not, is whether you can play defense. And I know that sounds like coach speak, but it's actually the truth. If you watch teams that play really hard at the defensive end of the floor, they may not be that talented on the offensive side, but they win their share of basketball games just because defense travels. You don't have to worry about you know, the 10-foot rim and all that kind of stuff and the background and all those kinds of things from an offensive or shooter standpoint. All you got to do is go out there and play hard. And teams that play hard at the defensive end of the floor always intrigue me. And I say that in the sense of being optimistic about what Indiana's been doing of late, because that's why they've gotten back into winning again. Their defense just, you know, basically disappeared for a couple of ball games after the Iowa contest, and after Race Thompson went out with that injury at halftime or just before the first half ended. That team hasn't looked the same or didn't look the same for like 3 ball games, and they suffer the consequences. They get beat by Northwestern. They get beat by Penn State. Both of those are winnable ball games that they did not win, and they kind of got dominated in both of them because they just didn't play as hard or as tough at the defensive end of the floor. So from my standpoint, and of course I came in with the era of Bob Knight in 1973, and immediately I noticed how tough they were defensively. And that's never changed for me. When Indiana's been good defensively, they're almost always really good at the offensive end as well.
The voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, joining us on the hotline, brought to you by the Mower Shop in Fishers and themowershop.com. As of 14 minutes ago, when we were in our first segment, rankings are out. Hoosiers are number 21 in the nation, back in the top 25. Again, a crazy Saturday with 8 ranked teams losing. Fish, it seems like a weekly question that we ask you about Jalen Hood-Schifino, but his play continues to bring him up. 32 minutes, 24 points, and then the number that stands out, of course, 6 of 9 from three-point land. And Mike Woodson, Fish, I think, said it a couple weeks ago. He is just not your ordinary freshman with how hard he plays.
No, you're absolutely right. And, of course, what people didn't know or maybe don't know is that Jalen Hood-Schifino went into that ball game sick as a dog. I mean, he was not feeling well. There were major problems. It looked like he had kind of flu symptoms, if you know what I mean. And yet he went out there and was absolutely phenomenal in the first half. All 6 of his threes came in the first half. And he really was the reason Indiana's offense was able to perform in the first half. And that's why the game was tied at 29 with just about 4 minutes to go. And they were able to go on that run because he keyed it all with his play at the offensive end. And And there's no doubt he is a special player. He's a freshman that everybody knew coming in was going to be special. The question was, how good will he be at this early stage of his career at the college level? And he's exceeded my expectations. I think he's still got things to learn. I think there's still things he can improve pretty dramatically on. But at the same time, he's just a special kid. And he brings a calmness to the team as well, because they know that he's capable of scoring the basketball. He doesn't always do it. He doesn't always have to do it. But they know he's capable of it. And I think that's made everybody else confident in the way they play as well.
Have you looked at Maryland a little bit? IU plays at Maryland tomorrow night, 9 p.m. at Maryland. That's a weird arena. It's kind of a different vibe than a lot of the Big Ten arenas. Maryland themselves have kind of found themselves after kind of a up and down non-conference. Your thoughts on the Terrapins?
I'm scared to death of this ball game, guys. I am. I just think that Maryland is playing their best basketball of the season. They've won 3 of their last 4. Their only loss in that 4-game span was to Purdue, and they lost to them by just a couple of points, which tells you something right there. I just think Maryland is a really good basketball team. They're under a first-year coach. Kevin Willard is their head man now. He came from Seton Hall. His teams were always really good defensively. I think that's one of the keys for their basketball team, is they've gotten better defensively. And they had a couple of transfers in at the guard spots that both of those guys have kind of found their niche, so to speak. And the young kid is averaging 18 points a ball game in Big Ten play, and he's a point guard. So it kind of tells you that they found themselves a little bit after kind of a rocky start to their season. It wasn't rocky early on because they weren't playing people, but after they got going a little bit, the only loss they've had in the Xfinity Center this year is to UCLA, who I think is ranked in the top 10 right now as far as college basketball is concerned. So I think this is a real challenge for Indiana. I don't think there's any question they could go in there and win the game, but they're going to have to be focused. They're going to have to play with intensity, and they're going to have to play really well at the defensive end to do it.
Don, I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you checked very far ahead on your schedule. Saturday, there's a game. I don't know if you heard about this game, and you're not the coach. You're like, we take one game at a time. Number 1 Purdue comes to Bloomington. Talk about scare me to death. How do you see Purdue this year? Because none of us thought Purdue was a number 1 team. You got 2 freshman guards. It's never happened.
Well, it is somewhat of a surprise in that sense. I'm never surprised that Purdue is good. Matt Painter is a terrific basketball coach. He's been around a long time. He's been through these wars. He knows exactly what he's doing. He recruits the kids to his program that fit what they want to do. I'm never surprised that they're good. Are they as good as I anticipated this year? I thought they would be really good. I didn't know if they'd be number 1 or number 2 in the country at this point and have 1 loss. Obviously, Zach Edey's just a different animal. There's no question about that. And that's not any disrespect to him, because he's just a terrific player and having a world-class season, much like Trace Jackson Davis, which will be an interesting matchup. But I'm telling you right now, you can't just I don't know how they're going to guard Zach Edey, but I don't know how you guard the guy, because he's just mammoth out there, and he is so very, very good with his footwork and his ability to score inside. And so somehow you got to keep him away from the basket. That's about the only way to stop him, and I don't know how you do it.
Do you have a comp for him that you've ever seen in your life? All these years, Don Fisher, 1973 and on. Is there one player that he kind of reminds you of that you've seen during your career?
I mean, from a dominant perspective, not really. I mean, to be honest, no. I mean, because he's 7'4". Now, we've seen a couple of guys that were 7'3" or 7'4" before. They were nowhere near as talented or as gifted skill-wise as this guy is. And even though he's kind of a lumbering guy, and here's the thing, they aren't taking lumbering guys in the NBA. I mean, that's just, the NBA has changed the game so much, up and down the floor, that kind of thing. If you can't run and you're not really fast, you're going to have a problem. He might be the one guy at 7'4" and 275 or 80 pounds he might be the one guy that the NBA takes just because you can't move him inside. I mean, and he's going to be able to block shots and those kinds of things. I would think, and I think he's a talented kid, and I think he's great for college basketball. But I just don't know if it translates to the next level. All I'm saying here is he's going to be a major problem for Indiana and everybody else that they face. He obviously is, and he's the first guy they start talking about when it comes to coaching against the guy.
Well, plus his conditioning, too, I think, Fish, is what stands out. I mean, this is a big guy that can play more than 3/4 of the game, which was something that we did not see last year. But I guess that leads me into my next question, Fish, of you get this opportunity against Maryland, be it a weekday game at 9 p.m. Those are never easy. But Mike Woodson, nearly every press conference, he talks about playing hard, and the guys that play hard are going to get the most minutes. Well, this is your opportunity to get battle-tested for what, as you called it, what's going to be a war this weekend, right?
Well, no question. But as you know, and this is coach speak, of course, but it's one game at a time.
Yeah.
And you got to take care of business first with this Maryland team, and that's going to be a challenge in itself. And if they can get past it and have the 6-game winning streak going into the Purdue ball game, it's going to feel a lot better than coming off a loss to Maryland and playing the Purdue Boilermakers, even though it's at home. So I just think this game tomorrow night is going to be a critical one.
Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, our guest on the hotline, brought to you by the Mower Shop in Fishers and themowershop.com. Fish, we always appreciate the time. Congrats on the winning streak, and we'll see what happens this week.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's Don Fisher with us, Brendan King, Scott Long, and Jimmy Cook.
I always, if I hear Don Fisher on any of these shows, always stop. You got to you're in the driveway. You're like, I got to listen to what Fish says, because that's why I asked that question. He's been on such a high-low, and he talked about football and stuff. The guy never, ever. Did you see Jim Boeheim yesterday?
No, but.
Yeah. Some kid reporter from Syracuse. Syracuse pumps out a lot of people in your business.
I know.
Do you ever fake that on your resume?
No. I was.
That doesn't work.
My first baseball gig was actually in the Cape Cod Baseball League, which is the prime developmental league in baseball. And lucky enough that I got to be out there as a Butler kid, because usually it's the Syracuses. But I worked with the Syracuse kids, so
there's always a 50-50.
I got the full experience.
So Boeheim gets this question. They had lost 2 games by 4 points. The guy asks him that. Boeheim just goes, and just walks off the press conference, walks right out.
Yeah, that happened with Coach K, too. I feel like these big college basketball coaches hate the student media.
Very similar.
Yeah.
We're going to have Bob Kravitz on in the next couple days. Bob Kravitz was a student reporter for Bob Knight. It's a fabulous story of rags, what's riches to rags, because Bob Knight liked him. And it really irritated all the Indy Star people at the time who he didn't like, or wherever, that he would take questions just mainly from Bob Kravitz.
And Kravy was no older than 21.
Yeah, he was the goalie at the Indiana Hoosiers club hockey team.
Yeah.
Because that was the other reason he went there. So then one day there had been some pot smoking in Alaska, and Bob Kravitz asked the question to his buddy Bob Knight. That's the end of Bob Kravitz's kind of inside the Bob Knight world. He was gratis from that point on. He should tell the story. It's better than I do.
Scott Long is with us for the next few days from Wish TV and all Indiana Bets. I'm Brendan King. Jimmy Cook is over there lacking sleep, but happy nonetheless. We'll come back next. Again, it's 1:30. Tony East joining us. Greg Rakestraw at 2 on The Fan.
Sometimes an injury or death happens due to someone else's mistake. Find justice with the injury attorneys at Parr Ritchie at 317-269-2509. PARRinjury.com.
From the thrilling action on the court to the pure energy in the crowd, the excitement is real inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse this season.
Turner the rebound, puts it in! A 40-point night for Miles Turner.
A team that never quits and a crowd that never sits.
Nembhard shoots it again, count it again!
Together, we are revved up.
LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers make their only visit on Thursday. Get your tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers-Lakers, Thursday at 7.
Hey, it's Dan Dockich here. You know, for years on my radio show, I asked people to help me out. I needed a treatment, aches and pains. I couldn't lose weight. Well, guess what? I found a solution. I did. Affinity Whole Health. All you've got to do is go to feelgreatindy.com and look into it for yourself. The testosterone program that I am on has been a godsend. I've missed no workouts in 6 months. No more aches and pains. And I have lost weight. FeelGreatIndy.com is the place to go. Get started just like I did.
The Pacers are back home to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Thursday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
And 107.5 The Fan.
Well, Pacers have lost 3 in a row again. Back home on Thursday. LeBron comes in. Well, I guess maybe if he plays. Lakers and
that
the
makes
Kings.
me ill, by the way. Let's just think
he,
about.
He might break the record here?
No, that you don't know if he's even going to play.
Oh, yeah.
Because
how about the kids that come and.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And you know what? LeBron, look, I don't always love everything LeBron does, but he was one of the last holdouts of guys that did that.
Yeah.
You know, it starts with Kawhi Leonard and some of that. I got to say, that's just horrific. You know, I've got twin 14-year-olds. I haven't talked about them. One's a boy, one's a girl. Nothing alike. They don't agree on anything. I call them the Cleveland Browns because they're good individually, but they suck as a team. That's my twins. All right. So think about if they're like, I want to go see LeBron. I want to go see LeBron. I know there's somebody listening right now. It's like, I'm in that spot, Scott. I don't even know how much you're paying for tickets. Maybe somebody needs to hit us up on, I'm at Scott Comedy on Twitter. Brendan, where are you?
At B King Sports.
If you've bought tickets to that game, tell us how much you had to pay and kind of just random where you're at. Because you're talking about rolling the dice. Because it's not like the old days where the Lakers can just win by showing up. They can't. They do need LeBron or they're not going to even beat this current Pacers team. Oh, I get anxiety thinking about that. You know, and see, my kids have been spoiled because I know like some people at the Pacers, so they'll get like great seats. Then I have to spend the money. So I take my kids to Globetrotters. I got no in. I don't know Meadowlark Lemon.
Well, with all the jobs that you're about to get, you should have no problem with the money.
Olivia Wilde will kind of set those things up for me, or a personal assistant.
317-239-1070 if you'd like to tell Scott how much you paid for Pacers and Lakers tickets. It is of note, the Lakers play tonight. LeBron's not playing. Anthony Davis not playing. So that's not a great start if you hope to see LBJ play the Pacers on Thursday. Though the Pacers have made Miles Turner a very rich man in the last couple days. Miles signing the extension, 2 years, $60 million with a little $17 million incentive added onto his contract this year. So Miles gets an extra 17 this year. And then 2 years, $60 million. Scott Long. He's averaging a career high in points, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. What do you think?
A lot of people are like, 30 million, that seems about right. But it's not 30 million. It's 38.5 million. He wasn't getting that 17 million this year. That's an extra bonus. So is he worth 38.5 million? Well, he kind of looked like it when Halliburton was here. And then it makes you start to think, well, when Halliburton was here, it's like, was Sabonis and him just not really working well together? Can two big men thrive in the NBA? And no, they can't. Two big men won't work. But now that Halliburton's not there, I'm seeing a lot of the old Miles, Turner coming back. I don't know. Look, no free agents come to Indianapolis. Okay, we have to understand that. Not NBA. Offensive linemen, they might come. They're like, oh, I can go fishing, I can go hunting. They got a Golden Corral. I'm in business. But that's about it. NBA dudes, they don't look at the nightlife and go, oh, I got to come. Man, the Circle City is off the hook. No, they do not. They do not. So I guess you got to sign who you can get. They got plenty of money right now, that team. So pay him now, and then maybe when they have to pay Halliburton in a couple years, they'll have the money. They can decide if they want to have him or not. So long story short, that's my name, Scott Long. I give long stories to short, succinct questions. It's good for radio. I know it is. Brendan, that's my answer. What do you think on that deal?
I've never been as much of a Miles guy as JMV is. JMV is the king of being a Miles guy.
Who is?
But I have always said, Scott, that the minute you get rid of Miles Turner, and we've seen it due to him missing some games lately, when Miles Turner is out of the lineup, the Pacers become an absolute sinkhole defensively.
Yeah.
And does that worth paying a guy $60 million? He is averaging a career high in points. He is averaging
76.
a career high. 70, whatever.
That's a big difference.
Well, maybe not to a guy like you. But anyway, I don't know. I've always been a Miles guy from the standpoint that they need him defensively. It's an extra bonus that he's scoring like this in a contract year. Is it because it's a contract year? That's up for interpretation. But when you got rid of Sabonis, you made a decision. And clearly, we've seen with the backups this year, Jalen Smith has struggled. Isaiah Jackson's not necessarily a 5. DeAndre Ayton didn't come here because the Suns matched that. This is something you kind of had to do, Scott.
That's what I always try to explain to Pacer fans especially. You know, all you have to do is look at Paul George and everybody else that had no interest in being here. Think about if you're trying to get guys to come here. So if you got a guy who
wants to be here,
you got to probably take that. I was up, basically didn't sleep. Watched the Pacer game on my DVR. Pacers were up 19 on Memphis yesterday. 19. And I would argue that I think Memphis is one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NBA. I think they're the best team in the West when it comes to the playoffs. They've got such a versatile lineup. I love so many of their players. But it was just like Memphis the whole time. I was like, we're down 19, but I feel pretty good. You know, as long as we stay under 30 and it's not the fourth quarter, and that's just what happened. And you want to talk about a defensive sieve. I'm sure Don Fisher could not have watched. He would have felt ill watching the lack of defense and just Ja Morant doing whatever he wanted. And I never saw Jaren Jackson when he was at Michigan State being the guy that he is. He is Miles Turner times 2. They're similar players, but man, Jackson is truly the defensive player that you dream of. I mean, Pacers. I'm so happy we have Halliburton. He's
a saving grace.
It was really good for us as fans to have him get hurt and see.
Yeah, is the tank on for you, Mr.
Yes.
Long?
Oh my gosh! Please tank it up.
The tank is on.
Get somebody that's close to Halliburton, and then Pacers are probably a playoff team. They were never a playoff team. I know we got optimistic. They overachieved. Carlisle, I think, is a great coach. He knows how to take young players, kind of mold them. It's better. Yes, tank it out.
Scott Long, Brendan King, Jimmy Cook. When we come back, we're going to be joined by a very special guest. We'll tell you who that is after the timeout. BK, Scott Long, Jay Cook, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV. Matt Painter joins us. How does it feel to be over that 400 mark?
You just move to the next game. It's really not that big a deal. Obviously, we've had some really good players at Purdue and some really good coaches. The thing that I like is I think we're continuing to get better. Our program's getting better. Product's getting better. We're doing a better job of evaluating and bringing guys in here that fit. It makes it enjoyable. It makes it fun. This is a fun group to coach.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hopefully, you'll never have a house or business fire. But if you do, hopefully, you'll never forget this name, Michaelis. They can be there before that lump in your throat goes away. In fact, they're the reason it goes away. Over 35 years of helping people recover from faulty wiring, lightning strikes, or that unattended pot of pasta on the stove. Michaelis crews often roll in before the fire hoses are rolled up. Their proven process of water extraction, smoke removal, and content storage will calm your nerves. Then their talented craftsmen will rebuild your home and restore your spirits. That starts by being your advocate with the insurance company. You'll find Michaelis doesn't just feel for you, they work for you. Water, storms, fire, and foundations. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Today on Hey Culligan, reverse to reduce. Here's Bob.
Hey Culligan, I love fresh water, but I got plastic bottles coming out.
Whoa, Bob, you are not kidding about the bottles. But did you know Culligan's reverse osmosis and always-on drinking water systems provide fresh, clean, delicious drinking water and help reduce the equivalent of over 15 billion plastic bottles from landfills worldwide?
Holy, fresh, environmentally friendly drinking water. Am I right?
Right, Bob. And we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers are back home to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Thursday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Make your hands clap.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Oh, we told you. Special guest joining us right now on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. I'm Brendan King. Jimmy Cook is on the ones and twos. Big 107.5 The Fan exclusive right now. From yesterday's Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship game, referee Brad Shefers is with us. Brad, it's great to see you. Question, what is your position?
Great to be on. I don't do radio much. I'm a sideline backfield judge. I've been doing that for a while. That's all I got to tell you, buddy. You got any other questions? Because I got busy things.
Well, first of all, what goes into being a sideline backline judge?
Did you see the game yesterday? Do you think I know what I'm doing? Do you think what I know or that crew knows what they're doing? They don't. We just kind of, it's improv. It's like comedy sports. That's why they call it sports. It's comedy sports with a Z. That makes it funny.
Brad Shefers, referee from yesterday's Chiefs-Bengals game. Brad, give our listeners an idea about your background, please.
A lot of people don't know. I'm not an NBA or a Major League Baseball umpire. We have regular jobs during the week. My main job, I'm an assistant manager at the Family Dollar in Climax, Michigan. But I'm hoping someday, we all have a dream. Brendan, I heard your dream to be a Major League Baseball. And now my ultimate dream, general manager of the Dollar Tree in Kalamazoo. That's my dream. That is my dream. Looking forward to that.
Oh my. Brad Shefers. Yesterday's referee.
That's Shefers. It's got a CH. But
I'm sorry for
Shefers.
I'm sorry for the disrespect. I was actually more curious about what your referee background is.
No. Well, I was doing travel flag football for a while. And kind of like this job, they just will take anybody. There was an opening. I applied. Remember the big Ed Hockley? Remember that guy all buffed up?
It's a good referee.
Yeah, well, he likes FaceTime. He's got the square jaw, looked like Dick Tracy. His son's one. He's no good. I've worked with that guy, by the way. But I worked, and if you're not aware, Brandon, we were the best referees in the AFC. That's what you got yesterday. That's why I'm kind of insulted by some of the talk over our performance yesterday.
Shefers.
Brad Shefers.
Referee.
Bradley.
Brad. Good to see you, Brad. Chiefs-Bengals. Brad, some fans felt like your crew had a vendetta against the Bengals yesterday. What is your response to that?
That is ridiculous. That is, most of the crew, I can tell you, those guys, morally impeccable. Not me. I'm not so much. I grew up a Browns fan, so I can't stand Cincinnati. I mean, first off, did you hear that mayor? Did you hear the mayor in Cincinnati?
Did hear the mayor. Travis Kelce had something to say about that guy.
Yeah, he is a jabroni. I didn't like him. I didn't like his talk. I didn't like that Burrowhead stuff. I thought they were kind of insulting. So, yeah, if there was a close call, sometimes I go out of character with my voice. I'm not Frank Caliendo, that's for sure. So, I'll just tell you right now, I can't stand it. You know what I don't like about Cincinnati? Besides the mayor? They're chili.
There it is.
Oh, my God. That ain't chili. There are no beans in it.
That's how chili should be in my mind. No beans.
Oh, I don't like that. You like that, Cincinnati chili?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it Cincinnati chili. Just when I make chili, I don't put beans in it.
Yeah, well, you know what I call it? Post chili. That's what it looks like. And it doesn't taste much better. I don't like Cincinnati. I was kind of surprised. They know I always go against the Bengals when the games are up. But hey, the Chiefs deserve to win. I'm rooting for them. You got anything else for me? Otherwise, I'll just get going.
I think we're good. But Brad Shefers, referee from yesterday's Chiefs-Bengals game, we appreciate the time.
Appreciate it. I'm going back to my job at the Family Dollar.
Yeah, actually.
It's supply chain issues are killing us. That's why I love the Dollar Tree. They charged $1, and then they made it $1.25. No one said anything. People are always crappy with me at Family Dollar because something costs $3. It's like, people, if you want to pay.
That's true. It is pretty dishonest, isn't it?
It's not at all. It's a family. $3 or $4. You got 3 or 4 people.
That's pretty misleading.
Nah, see, I don't like that at all. But that's why I'm trying to get to the Dollar Tree. Nobody ever questions your pricing.
Well, everything at Dollar Tree is $1.25 now.
I know.
Do you know that? Yeah.
No one says anything about it.
There was no press release.
Where are you going to go?
Just a great question.
There's like, is somebody going to open up a real Dollar Tree? No. I got to tell you, this is the kind of talk that you guys should have on this sports radio
That's what I'm saying. I think we have to look at the ratings on the Fan from 1 p.m. to 1:06 p.m. on January 30th, and you will see the numbers just erupt.
Well, I got to get back to the job, and then I got some I'm reffing some travel soccer.
Oh, there you go.
Tournament later this weekend.
For, why am I blanking on his name? For Ted Lasso?
Don't like him. He's too positive. Seems like a nice guy. But I hate what Olivia Wilde did to him. Not right.
Okay,
I was listening to your show.
As we welcome back Scott Long, is that why you were interested in being Olivia Wilde's whipping boy?
Seems pretty graphic. Did you see how different that voice sounded? I'm a man. I'm a man of 3 voices. I'm
confused. Where'd Brad go? He just quick as lightning.
Brad
it's like
Shefers.
the bat signal. It's like when Christian Bale gets. Yeah.
I mean, do you think they would laugh at that if we sent that clip to Cincinnati Sports Radio?
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
And some would be very angry because they would believe it's real.
Yeah, but screw them. Cincinnati Sports Radio.
Yeah. I'm not there.
No.
I'm not there.
When's the next time you're doing comedy in Cincinnati?
I did a big fundraiser in Cincinnati in December. I really like the city. But like Bradley Shefers, hate the chili. I hope they're not a sponsor. Are they a sponsor, Jimmy?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Not Gold Chili, not what's that called?
Skyline Chili.
Skyline Chili. None of them.
Have you ever? I've never eaten there.
You've made a good choice.
Have you?
At Skyline Chili?
Yeah.
So this is probably sacrilegious, but whatever. It's fine. I'm not. There's only a couple styles of chili I like. I've had their chili dogs. I've had their chili on a hot dog.
Beans and chili?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
No, you
I don't mind it. I prefer it without.
It's just not my thing.
I prefer it without. But
it's interesting. Did the mayors, since he's in the news, did Kansas City and Cincinnati, they make a bet between the two of them?
Between the mayors?
Yeah. Because I didn't hear about it. And my guess is Kansas City's like, no, we're not doing a bet. You're going to send us that crap Cincinnati chili, and we've got like the amazing barbecue that we're going to send you. It's not fair at all. It's not a fair trade.
I completely agree. From what I understand, I think they did make a bet, but then it got lost in all the different shots fired, primarily by the Cincinnati mayor on social media.
You know, Mayor Hogg said, I'm not a political guy. I'm sorry. If you listen to this show for politics, that's not what I do. But I'll tell you, I like the sassiness a little bit of Cincinnati's guy. It would be really bad this year if Hogsett would have said that, you know, Matt Ryan is Patrick Mahomes' daddy. He's like, I don't think anybody.
Well, technically,
Mahomes
Matt Ryan
laughed.
did beat Mahomes. Technically,
he
did.
You make a good Brandon, look at that guy. He is having a good time now.
No offense, Jimmy. I'm just saying the stats.
Okay.
Hey, now when you get the Cubs announcer job in about 2036, are you going to bring me in?
13 years, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You take it.
41.
Wow, that'd be really good. Can I be on seventh inning stretch? You know, just to
You can be my Harry.
Yeah, well, I could do that. All right.
All right. Nice and loud.
Yeah, see, I'm. You know, people. There's so many good Harry Carey impressions that if there's so many people that do it, you gotta nail it. Like if Brad Shefers. People don't know what Brad Shefers sounds like because he's a made-up character. I nailed that character.
Yeah, you combined two referees from last night.
Maybe. I don't know if I did or not.
Yeah,
I just Brad, I did.
Here's a story
Shefers
for you.
was just random.
Also another NFL referee.
Really? Wow, I am good.
Really good. When I was a pledge in my fraternity during our
Butler.
During our like Hell Week or whatever.
Yeah.
We had to like wake up the actives. So
what house is this? Can you mention that?
I'll leave that out. I'll leave that out. But anyway,
are they still an active play?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I love it. This was nothing bad. But like we could like wait. The actives could call for like wake up calls or whatever.
Okay.
And
are you like Alexa? I mean, what is going on here?
Basically. So, but every wake up call I did, they asked for like a Harry Carey impression. One of my guys asked for Harry Carey doing the Bartman play.
Oh, let's hear it.
Oh, it was terrible. I can't do a Harry. But anyway, that's how they made me feel. Just like had to bring up past wounds of Chicago Cubs baseball. So.
Okay, so let's name off the Butler grads that are play-by-play announcers.
Brandon Gaudin.
Right.
On Fox. Mark Minner, the voice of the Dogs.
Very good.
Obviously, Chris Denary was the voice of Butler. He didn't go there, but his son did. So we'll count Chris.
Yeah, and he was my wife. Every time I say my wife, I feel like I need to be Borat.
Yeah, thank you.
And my wife, we make the sexy time. Yeah, I've been with her for 30 years. Not really. So that's why I'm finding Olivia Wilde. Remember, I'll be out there, honey, about 6 o'clock. That's 3 o'clock Pacific time. So she was a head media buyer for a major group. And Chris Denary not only was the announcer, this was back in the 90s when they were in their Horizon League, he was selling ads too. Don't think that guy's not hustled to get where he is, besides he's even nicer. Chris Denary, nicer guy than even a Jimmy Cook.
Oh, I love Chris Denary.
Greatest guy ever. Mark Boyle, he's not a nice guy. That's why we're good friends.
Well, I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
Mr. 3000.
Mark Boyle, he's the greatest ever. As an NBA, Joe Tate, Cleveland Cavaliers forever on 3WE, big 1100. And my guy, Mark Boyle, greatest radio NBA announcers. It's hard. What do you think is an easier job? Baseball, radio, NBA?
Oh, man. I mean, each of them has their own challenges because the NBA is much more of a quicker pace. I'll say this, guys.
Yes.
And Jimmy, you know this as a play-by-play guy, too. I mean, you've done every sport there could be. But the thing I love about being a baseball guy is that baseball is the only sport on the radio where the announcer truly controls the pace of the game. You set the pace as the play-by-play guy doing baseball. When you do basketball, Jimmy, and you know this doing Ron Colley stuff, the game sets your pace.
Yeah, and to that end, to answer your question, Scott, I would say if you're an announcer that's calling a new sport for the first time, let's say you're a football guy and you're making the transition, I'm going to say baseball's harder because of that pace factor. And also, if it's your first time doing baseball and maybe you're not familiarized with the team as much, you don't have as many stories to tell and share to fill the different pacing settings and just in between pitches. And
I love
general.
this. See,
So
I
would say baseball probably.
Would this be called Inside Baseball? I think
This week in baseball, we're bringing it back.
Yeah, I will tell you right now, I'm hearing that, and I would agree 99% of the people would probably do basketball better because the action's going. You can just call the action. You can hear, I'm ready for a long-winded story. So I'd love the baseball over the basketball. I wouldn't want to, I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. I was just telling that story. There's been 3 baskets in between. Go to your ESPN game tracker and see what happened. I mean, I would not be great at that. You know, I think of, it's an interesting person, Jake Query, who works here. He does racing.
Right.
That's a different one because it always sounds like there's a lot of action when we're going to go to the third, what do they call that? Third turn. Going to third turn, Jake Query. And then he just blasts stuff out.
Oh, it's great. I don't know how.
Awesome. He's great at it.
Him, Yeoman, Janes, Denary. Yeah. I'm missing one. Anyway, we'll fix
Stewart.
that. We'll fix that. Yeah. But I don't know. How do you see the damn cars?
Oh, exactly.
How do you make out the number on the car? They're going 200 miles an hour into a corner.
Right. I can't even, like when the last time there was a hit and run, every other week that happens.
Around your house?
Well, not where I live, but, just getting down here. And, I get hit by a pothole, and then I get hit by a car. I can't read the license plates, let alone if a 220 miles an hour down Okay, what I'm trying to explain to everyone, we want to start a petition where Joe Hogstead starts calling out other professional teams. I feel like he's kind of backed off on that. And what? Oh, hey, Cincinnati's got chili. Kansas City got barbecue. Do we know? What does Hogstead usually offer up? Is it the shrimp?
I would, you know what? I would raise you Long's Donuts.
That would be what I would give out.
Same.
And I'm Long.
You are? Yeah. Do you own the have a stake?
I wish I did. I wouldn't be applying for all these jobs. That place is jamming.
You know what?
My favorite donut.
There is a flyer on the door. Every time I've been in there, it says hiring for the morning shift. You can, if you get this job, you can bake donuts from like 4 a.m. until 11. You can come over here and do the show noon.
I can
to 3.
smell it now.
Yeah. I think we got a great game plan for you, Mr. Long.
I don't. Have you ever thought of a job like it? Did you ever work fast food, Brendan?
No.
Okay. Jimmy?
I was a cart boy at a golf course.
No, I did not. I worked at a restaurant, but I did not. Was not a waiter.
Did you feel like you were getting fatter when you were working at the restaurant?
I was in high school and I had pretty high metabolism, so no.
Were you a dishwasher boy?
Did a little bit of busboy, not washing, but bringing them out there, and then I did some host work as well, helping people to their table.
A host, wow! Look at that. Bright smiling face of Jimmy Cook greeting you.
I'm kind of a little like Jimmy and I. We just had a moment, there where we felt like kinship because I've worked those jobs too. Sure. Then I hear Brendan. No, I never worked fast food. I worked at a golf course.
I was a cart boy. I had to wash golf carts and
sounds like a pretty good job.
Not really, but when the 55-year-old guy
were you working the fryer?
No, and he takes his dip and he just throws it on the cart and you got to clean that out. It's gross.
That's the worst. That sounds like a delight.
Somebody
like I would apply for just that job. Like I'll just clean the dip. I'll clean the dip here at Palos Heights golf course, Palos
Pretty
Hills.
Close. Yeah, Palos.
Okay.
This guy.
I know. I will tell you, I worked at Union Jack for 2 years. I just blew up with all that Chicago-style pizza that was just accessible. Oh, it's so good. Before that, worked at Chi-Chi's. Neither one of you guys.
No, I loved, man, come on now. I grew up on that.
That was 20 years. How much time we have, Jimmy? I need about 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Chi-Chi's, man.
I'm going to take 3 then. That's what 30 seconds means with me. So I'm working at Chi-Chi's. I get out of college, and I'm thinking, I don't know what I want to do. I had a couple jobs I didn't like. I worked at Marshall Fields. I told you that in Chicago. I moved here. My wife, her family had moved from Chicago to Carmel. I come here. Love Indianapolis. Love it. Got to get a job. So I'm working at Chi-Chi's, and in those days, there were like no Mexican restaurants in the whole city. There wasn't. It was just Chi-Chi's. There were like 5 of them, busy as could be. I mean, your hour-and-a-half waits. This was a magical food. Now, nothing Mexican authentic about the place.
Well, so let me interrupt you. There used to be a Chi-Chi's just beside Orland Mall.
Yes.
Which is what we talked about in
totally.
So anyway.
So, I put on this burlap sack of a uniform. Oh, it was horrible. And you never smelled more like a chip than when you got done at that job. But, okay, so I'm working there, and worst table waiting job ever, Mexican restaurant. Why is that? I know you've never even thought about it, Brendan. Maybe Jimmy once did. Everything with chips and salsa is free. Some people come in basically just to get like a side of chili con queso, and maybe they'll get themselves a Dr. Pepper, and then they'll just eat free chips. So you can't get any averages on, and then Mexican food is cheaper, so your ticket average is lower. So, I mean, it's like slave labor, and then you'd have all these people that would come in, first time they'd ever seen Mexican food in their life, didn't know how to pronounce anything, and these words were not hard. Like, I had a guy call it a chimichinga, which is a chimichanga, which you don't even see anymore. It's a deep-fried burrito, because they knew what people in the Midwest wanted. Well, they're not going to eat a burrito. Well, deep-fried. We'll eat it. So, oh, my gosh, I worked there for about a year and a half. I've come a long ways before.
I have not heard Chi-Chi's in years.
Do you know the story behind Chi-Chi's? I mean, the actual...
No.
The owner of Chi-Chi's was a guy named Max McGee, MVP of the first Super Bowl, Green Bay Packers.
And he started Chi-Chi's.
Yes. He started in Minneapolis. He moved to Minneapolis after that. He opened up this Mexican restaurant. His wife's nickname was Chi-Chi. I'm not going to tell you all the specifics. If you took Spanish, you might have an idea. There's a restaurant called Hooters, right? But this place was a family restaurant called Chi-Chi's. No one knew that in the Midwest. But Max McGee, Green Bay Packer great, who supposedly was hungover and didn't think he was going to play, and then, like, the guy in front of him got hurt, and Vince Lombardi is like, "Get in there, kid!" And I'm sure that's 100% accurate. That sounded a lot more like Vince Lombardi than Bradley Shefers probably sounded like, "Get in there, kid!" And Max McGee's like 33, probably runs a 5.3 40 in the NFL, playing flanker. Had a crew cut. Scores, gets a bunch of catches. Bart Starr hits him. They stomp who did they stomp in the first Super Bowl, Jimmy?
Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh.
35, maybe to 10 or something.
Why'd you do that to our friend Jimmy?
Well, Jimmy's a little too high on himself.
Got to keep me level. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that is the story of Chi-Chi's. Do you think you get that with Bowen and maybe Jake would share that story?
I'm sure Jake has a Chi-Chi's story.
Probably
but actually, so up north, I'm in South Bend in the summers.
Right.
The place up there is La Hacienda.
Oh, I have eaten there.
Oh.
Very good.
Muy bueno.
Muy bueno.
Very good. Yeah. So anyway, I haven't heard the name Chi-Chi's since I was 15.
Okay, for hardcore sports radio fans right here. Hey, we live in Indianapolis. Do I have anything positive right now to say about the Colts besides my interview? No. I don't want to just seem negative here. I'm trying to be optimistic. We got a thing called the NFL draft. People want to talk about that, right?
Yeah. Here, let me ask you this.
Okay.
If Irsay's serious about Jeff Saturday.
Yeah. He told me he was.
Well, Or he's going to Houston, I guess.
That was during the follow-up portion of your interview. You have any questions for me, Scott? That was
How does he sell it to the fan base if he wants Jeff Saturday as the coach? Realistically, that's a serious question.
First, the first time, the national media lost their minds. Okay,
Cower,
all of them.
Yeah,
all of them. And me, I'm like, hey, I've been down this trip. 2014 is the last time the Colts actually won the AFC South. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They choked it away. Do I think that the team had been lost under Frank Reich? I did. I didn't see that this was going to be better things. Jacksonville's a better team, and they have a superstar quarterback. Colts didn't. Frank Reich said, give me Carson Wentz. Give me Matt Ryan. Give me Phillip Rivers. He wanted those guys. Those were his guys. So do I think that Jeff Saturday coming in was a disaster? At times. But are the Colts going to have the 4th pick in the draft if Frank Reich's there? No, they're going to do that Pacer thing where the Colts have the 12th pick. They're going to have to give up 2 extra first-round picks to get up into a place where they can choose one of these 3 quarterbacks, who we still don't even know are good or not. It's not like there's an Andrew Luck. Am I allowed to say that on the station?
Sure.
Andrew Luck. There's no Andrew Luck. There's no Trevor Lawrence.
Trying to summon him like Beetlejuice.
Well, let me tell you, that was a part of the interview. At one point, Jim Irsay goes, excuse me a minute, walked away, tried to summon Andrew Luck. like he would appear.
Like a rain dance?
He did do a little dance. He put on some Crosby, Stills, and Nash, grabbed his cowboy hat, played a little guitar, and then summoned. Andrew Luck did not show up. I was excited. It was a great interview. I mean, probably, I don't know, better than this one.
I don't know if we should take that personally.
Yeah.
Or
I hope everybody takes everything personally. It makes it. It's the energy that I run on. I thrive on your discontent.
I've been impressed that we've made it through an hour and a half of this thing.
Yeah.
Are you?
It's exhausting to work with.
Has it only been an hour and a half? Are you
It's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. You cannot leave the radio. You're listening. Some people probably probably even Brad Shefers, probably looking for a new job because he was like, what is our, you got to go to the Fan, you get the app. I've got it.
You have the Fan app?
Yeah, I got the Fan app.
Hey, that's a one-way ticket to getting the job.
Feeling pretty good, everybody.
You should be feeling pretty good.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott Long for Wish TV and all Indiana Bets is with us
Many
for the next few days. Brendan King, Jimmy Cook coming up after the timeout. Tony East, our guy from SI.com, Locked on Pacers. He's going to talk about the Miles extension. Maybe, I guess, LeBron coming in on Thursday and all things Pacers. T-East NBA coming up after the timeout. Greg Rakestraw at 2. We are in the DriveHubler.com studios, and we will be right back.
Hey there, it's Jake Query, and wintertime is here. And that, of course, means some annual traditions, in particular for me. Things like trying to think about getting out to a warm weather vacation, and, of course, the possibility of being stuck on the roadside with a flat tire, a dead battery, things like that. And I can't tell you the number of times that AAA has been there over the years to bail me out. Whether you're talking about a flat tire, dead battery, running out of gas, locking your keys in your car, AAA is there for you 24/7, 365 days a year. Winter doesn't care where you need to be, but my friends at AAA always do. So do yourself a favor and join AAA today. To get your AAA membership, visit AAA.com or call 844-GO-AAA-GO or stop by your local AAA office. And don't forget, they have complimentary travel planning and great insurance rates, auto, home, life, and more, because you don't have to be stuck on the side of the road to get assistance from AAA. Again, that's 844-GO-AAA-GO, or stop by your local AAA office.
Hey, it's Dan Dockich here. You know, for years on my radio show, I asked people to help me out. I needed a treatment, aches and pains. I couldn't lose weight. Well, guess what? I found a solution. I did. Affinity Whole Health. All you've got to do is go to feelgreatindy.com and look into it for yourself. The testosterone program that I am on has been a godsend. I've missed no workouts in 6 months. No more aches and pains. And I have lost weight. FeelGreatIndy.com is the place to go. Get started just like I did.
Hey, Alexa, you want to go out with me?
Fat chance. Dog breath.
Okay, I was just asking.
If you want to do the smart thing, say, Alexa, play 107.5 The Fan.
Now that's smart.
From the thrilling action on the court to the pure energy in the crowd, the excitement is real inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse this season.
Turner the rebound, puts it in! A 40-point night for Miles Turner.
A team that never quits and a crowd that never sits.
Nembhard shoots it again, count it again!
Together, we are revved up.
LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers make their only visit on Thursday. Get your tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers-Lakers, Thursday at 7.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Your home for indie sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things indie sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for indie sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Pacers are struggling, but Miles Turner, his pockets...
He's not struggling.
No, his pockets are a lot heavier. Brendan King, Scott Long, Jimmy Cook. Siri is going off on my phone. Let's stop that. Our good pal from SI.com, Locked On Pacers, Tony East, is taking some time on the hotline, brought to you by the Mower Shop in Fishers and themowershop.com. T East, first thing before we talk Miles, the Lakers come in on Thursday, which means likely Pacers fans are going to get the Pat Beverly experience. What did you think about the whole camera fiasco thing?
That is up there with some of the best techs in NBA history, right? It's too funny, and look, they have to find a way to show the ref at the moment, like, you got it wrong. And I think the refs knew. They admitted it right after the game. But that's an all-time way to do it. That's up there with, Rasheed Wallace just staring at the ref and getting attacked, and Tim Duncan just laughing on the bench getting attacked. That's up there in my favorite technical fouls of all time.
I've never seen anything like that, Scott Long.
I just saw it, and not often you get the Rasheed Wallace and Tim Duncan compared.
to Pat Bev.
Play the same position. Couldn't have been more different personalities, right? Rasheed, very intense. Tim, he was kind of like a Murray brother. You know, like I'm talking about Iowa guys, the twins. He just chill all the time. You can't tell what emotion's happening, but just amazing. You don't even know did that guy just score 24 points? Wouldn't the Pacers love to have a guy that you never know is scoring 24 points? Because there aren't many guys in the NBA when they score 24 points that you don't know they're scoring 24 points. I think, like, Keegan Murray's surprised even himself when he scores it. Like, no big deal. No, Chris Murray at Iowa does the same thing. You're like, did he score that many? That's just weird. I love the personality. And I'm a Patrick Beverly fan because when it comes to playoffs, he's got everybody's back on his own team.
Yeah.
He's probably fought half of them before he got there.
Right. Oh, I love it. T-East, Miles Turner signing 2 years, $60 million. The extra $17 million put on as a bit of an incentive. For what you have heard and known about the negotiations and how they got it done, what do you think?
Yeah, it took a couple weeks to get this done, right? There was some reporting early in the month about him rebuffing, or his group or his camp, whatever phrase you want to use, from Mark Stein, rebuffing their first extension offers. And, hey, look, that's how negotiations go. But, yeah, this was a really good compromise to me that is a win-win for both sides. Like you said, they give him that extra money up front, and in exchange they get 2 years at probably a little under Miles Turner's market value. So the Pacers get him for what sounds like $58, $60 million, whatever term exactly you want to use. But really it's 2 years, $40 million tacked on to giving him a bonus this year to get that team-friendly deal. And they had to use their cap space on something, right? They were still below the salary floor, so it works out very well for the Pacers that they were in a situation to be able to do this. It works out well for Miles Turner to get really good starter-level money as a center. He's fit in very well with this team, and it works out for him as well. They could be a free agent again before he turns 30. So everybody wins. Pacers get more time to assess this new-look team that they have that was playing really well before Halliburton's injury. I think everybody wins in this situation.
Tony, you say win-win, and I'm always a little like, is there really a win-win? I mean, I think the greatest win-win currently, definitely in the NBA, you look at Halliburton, you see Healed, then you see Sacramento with Sabonis, and they are one of the 4 best teams in the West. If you haven't spent much life, I'm sure you guys, Jimmy, Brandon, you remember any time where the Kings were one of the 4 best teams in the NBA?
No.
Not in your lifetime. Okay, so win-win when you say Pacers, Miles Turner, let's do numbers. Who won that percentage-wise? We're going to do a little math. Who got the better of that deal? I do agree that's, kind of kicking the can down the road. They're going to use their money some way. Who's doing better on that deal?
On the Turner deal?
Yeah.
Or on the Kings trade?
55, 45, 58 and a half, 41. Don't make me do math.
I would say because the Pacers got a very tradable deal and they love their optionality, flexibility, whatever term Kevin Pritchard has at that day, that they will probably be the happier winner side if you had to give a percentage to it in the 55 to 60 range. But again, for Turner, especially because the summer where he'll be a free agent now is the same summer that the next TV rights deal is supposed to kick in, so the salary cap could jump a ton. In the long run, he could end up making a lot more money as a result of all the timing. So even though he might, from this exact transactions perspective, be, I guess, the 45% side, in the long run, he could make out very well from this.
Brendan, did you hear it? Tony is breaking it down. That was so good. I mean, really, that was like a second-rate question I asked you. There was math involved, and this guy just crushed it like a what is a high SAT score? Because I never got one.
Never took the SAT.
ACT is like 36, I think, right?
Well, that's the best you can get.
Yeah.
Is it a bad time to tell you guys I majored in math in college? Is this the time?
Yeah, we figured it out. You're a analytical nerd.
Is it that Zionsville education?
Oh.
That certainly helped, yes.
Go ahead, Scott.
Did not know. Zionsville in the house. Greatest basketball player in Zionsville history. Tony East. You can't include coaches that have played at Butler.
Oh, well, that was my answer for sure. The current president of the Celtics sure seems like a good answer. That's a good question.
Every once in a while.
I overlapped with Andrew Dockich, who ended up playing at Michigan and Ohio State.
Don't know anything about it. Never heard the name. Love Andrew Dockich. Love all of them. No hate here. Lots of love.
Tony East is our guest on the hotline, brought to you by the Mower Shop in Fishers and themowershop.com. Tony, back to the Miles thing just for a second. The way that this all transpired, and clearly things were not going well from a Pacers and Miles perspective together, especially during the last days of Sabonis and the Bjorkgren year, and throw whatever you want in there. How remarkable is it to you that it's gotten to this point where Miles has developed this chemistry so quickly with a buddy, with a Tyrese, that led to signing this contract?
Yeah, that's the craziest part of this. We're not that far removed from the Push and P tweet from a few years ago where he was including the emojis, that was not that long ago, right? That was last year's team. And so now the fact that he came into training camp after they pursued Ayton this summer and came in with a great attitude and then immediately clicked in a new role with this team, with the guys that they have, a young group. I guess it's not surprising that he did that part because Miles Turner's always been a pro and has said he can do better in a different role. But it's just, given where everything was, I don't think anybody expected that this point would ever come. But here we are where, he shows up. Like I said, he was a pro from day one. He said, look, yes, this all happened this offseason. I'm used to trade rumors now. Let's ignore this and let's play. And then he said, I forget who asked the question. I think it was Mark Monteith on Media Day, but he said, I still don't feel like I've scratched the surface of my potential. And everybody kind of like, well, it's your 8th year. But really, playing the 5 as the lone 5, he showed that he can be better, right? Career high in rebounds and points per game. He's 17th in the league in terms of true shooting percentage. Super efficient season. He fits very well with Halliburton and Mather, and he's having a great time playing for this group, right? Everything aligned perfectly for him to be a part of this team. And given where things were, I think that very few thought that would be the case, but it makes all the sense in the world that it is the case right now.
A lot of stuff going on yesterday in the sports world. Even maybe some pretty big Pacer fans might have missed that game. Watching that game, how would you describe what happened with Memphis? A lot of people don't even know they played. I mean, let's be truthful. It's all about Chiefs, Bengals. We had one of the referees as part of that. Eagles, 49ers with their Colts version of quarterbacking. Tony East, watching Pacers, Memphis. How would you describe that game? Because it was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Exactly. You're exactly right. I would describe it as opposite day for the Pacers, who in most of their recent losses have been awful to start games. Their defense looks atrocious. And somewhere along the way, they figured out and mount a comeback but still lose because their start was so bad. Well, against Memphis, the exact opposite order of events happened. They started awesome. They were up double digits in the first half. They were up 12 at halftime, 9-point lead after the first quarter. The stuff they were throwing at John Morant looked good. And then in the second half, the Grizzlies just kicked their butt for 24 minutes. Morant was awesome. He finished with a triple-double. Apparently John Morant's dad was gone with Pacers players, as he's now becoming notorious for, which caused some yapping during the game, and the Grizzlies just used that as fuel. The Pacers tried to throw different coverages in their double-team zone, but they couldn't stop Ja, and the Grizzlies shooters, they shot very well from deep in the second half of that game, and the Pacers offense just went totally flat. And one of the guys who's been doing so well for this Pacers team of late, TJ McConnell, had his first bad game in a while. He didn't hit a shot. He had 0 points. The Grizzlies took him out of his game, and he's been the Pacers' best setup man and creator for much of this stretch without Tyrese Halliburton in terms of scoring and passing. When he's kind of shut off or when the water's not running from him, it's really hard for this team to have a setup man, have good open shots come from someone else. So they really struggled to generate good looks in the second half, and the Grizzlies just ran away with it. 112-100, a low-scoring game in today's NBA.
What was the point spread on that game? Do you know?
I think it was Grizzlies were minus 8.5.
They were, and I do a show called All Indiana Bets. And my co-host, a guy really good on TV. I've heard he's good on radio. I don't like him personally. His name is Jason Hammer. And Jason Hammer has been fading the Pacers since Halliburton against the spread. I know you're not legally allowed to talk about that being on a major podcast, Tony East, but they have lost 6 straight. And that one, if you had the Pacers, you were up by 19 points plus the 8.5, 27.5 points at one point you had to work with, and you still lost by 3.5. I'm not saying I know someone who did that. I'm just saying, if you were one of them, my tears are real.
Are they with us in the room right now, Scott?
They are not. I do not bet NBA in the regular season. I feel like you have to be a total expert. You have to watch it intensely. And I don't got that time. I'm doing all kinds of interviews.
That sounds a whole lot like Jimmy, honestly. So good for you, Jay Cook. Tony East is our guest from SI.com, Locked On Pacers Pod at T East NBA. So, Tony, the Lakers come in on Thursday. LeBron's not playing tonight. Neither is Anthony Davis. I'm not as checked in with the whole LeBron chasing the points record thing. Is that even possible on Thursday now?
It could have been had he played today and tomorrow and Thursday. It would have been hard. He's 117 points away, which I get math again now. If he had 39 points per game over his next 3 games, he would have broken the record in Indy by 1. But sitting out against Brooklyn, so now he gets to play an MSC tomorrow, which is, of course, every NBA player loves, and then Pacers on Thursday. So barring a complete miracle in one of those games, it doesn't seem like he'll be able to score 117 points in 2 games. That'd be almost 60 points per game. And after the Pacers game, I think they return home. He can do it in front of a Laker crowd. I think they play against the Bucks in one of their games soon after that as well, which was Kareem's first team. So a lot of stuff lining up that, it just makes more sense from maybe his perspective to do that. And the Lakers, who are chasing wins, surprised that they have to rest guys at this stage of the season. But, LeBron's 38, Anthony Davis isn't hurt so much that I suppose I understand. So unlikely, barring a miracle, that he'll pull it off in Indy. But it looked close for a while that he had a chance to do it. He had 41 in their game against the Celtics that we talked about earlier.
So I'm the man of the people, and I think of divorced dads out there. Maybe they get their kids once every 2 weeks, 2 weekends. The new dad doing really well in Zionsville. This guy just trying to stay above water, and he bought tickets to the Lakers game. He bought a jersey of LeBron. He's trying to impress his son. Don't break their heart. Tell me, Tony, what percentage do you think that LeBron James will actually play at Gamebridge? You have the floor.
I would assume very high, considering that he's resting tonight and they don't have a game the day before or after they play the Pacers. These lengthy road trips can beat teams down, right? What you're referring to, the Nets rested a bunch of guys in Indiana back-to-back. The Warriors, in their only trip to Cleveland all season, on their last game of a long road trip, rested guys recently. And both the Nets and Warriors, ironically, ended up winning those games that I'm referring to. But, it just sucks for the home crowd. It doesn't get to see those players all the time, right? The loser is the fan, is the consumer in those situations. But it seems like the fact that LeBron is out today, and the fact that the schedule sets up that he doesn't have to play the day before or after coming to Indy means it looks like he'll play here. He played here last year, so in that situation you just described, everybody will be happy that they get to watch one of the best of all time.
Tony East is the NBA Siri. I mean, you put a question out there, and he gives you so much information. I don't even know how you do it, man. I am so impressed. I didn't go into this interview with any real thoughts either way. Love you, man. You are awesome at what you do. Good. Let's promote Tony.
We do.
Let's do it right now. Again, I don't know when you do it. Let's just Tony,
always
pump it out. What's your how do people find more out about you?
Yeah, I tweet too much. I handle East NBA and cover this team for a bunch of places. You said them all: Forbes, SI, and Locked On Pacers. So just trying to tell the stories of this team as they enter their new era and are playing fun basketball and have a very fun core that fans are excited about for the first time in a few years.
Tony, last thing for me, trade deadline. It's going to be here before you know it, February 9th today. So the Miles extension, does that tell you anything about what the Pacers want to do at the trade deadline?
Yeah, it still matches what they said before the season started, that they have a new, longer-term approach to team building. Keeping Turner for 2 more seasons beyond this year is certainly a long-term thing. And I think when you lose 10 out of 11 without Tyrese Haliburton, they're now 11th in the East, right out of the play-in. They can't be thinking too short-term in terms of upgrades that only help them stay buoyant maybe for 1 year or make them make a tiny bit more noise in the playoffs. I still think they have to be thinking long-term, and their recent maneuver suggests that they're doing that. So I think anything they do at the deadline, even if it's acquiring a talented player, it would have to be someone under contract for a long time that they can assess with their current core, that can keep them good for several years. And very few short-term related moves make any sense for this team in the next, 10 days, 12 days, something like that.
Yeah. Tony East, he's the man with us on the hotline, brought to you by the Mower Shop in Fishers and themowershop.com. T. East, we appreciate it as always. We'll see you later this week.
You got it. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, brother. Tony East taking some time on the guest line from the Mower Shop in Fishers. It's the best.
I just think of his, I don't know, they're probably at school right now. Maybe like his English teacher retired already, and he tunes it in. He's like, Tony East, love that kid. Uses the word buoyant. I have never used that word.
You going to add it to the comedy set?
No, because you got to relate to your audience, and no one even.
So what if you're doing a show in front of a bunch of Oxford graduates? You know?
Have you heard my stories? Do you think I ever get any Mensa
I think they'd be like, look at
offers?
this guy. We can laugh at this guy.
No, I'm straight out of the Cornstalk Ghetto. That is me right here, man. I am fly over country. I am Yellowstone TV for comedy.
Incredible. Greg Rakestraw. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us at the top of the hour. We got to take a time out. Let's do it before Scott goes off on another tangent.
Please.
Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indie Decorative Concrete patio. Indie Decorative Concrete, the patio experts.
Get the absolute best price on cars, trucks, and SUVs at Tom Wood Used Cars of Greenwood. Shop for your family cars, gas savers, work trucks, and commuter cars. Buy with confidence at Tom Wood Used Cars of Greenwood, as most vehicles come with complimentary lifetime powertrain coverage. That's no-cost lifetime powertrain coverage over and above the manufacturer's coverage. It's all at Tom Wood Used Cars of Greenwood, the home of guaranteed credit, located at Stop 18 and US 31 in Greenwood.
It's all good at Tom Wood.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters, from frozen pipes and sewer backups to your teenager pleading ignorance on the proper use of a plunger. At Michaelis, they know that water damage waits for no one. Their fleet of trucks is, well, fleet. Over 3 decades of finding the source of the problem, then cleaning up, drying out, and restoring your home or business to better than new condition. That's Michaelis, fully licensed and insured, and fully empathetic to your anxiety, including dealing with insurance claims. Water, storms, fire, and foundations. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. Hey, this is JMV. We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my bald spot in my crown area and PRP to keep my hairline and non-transplanted hair looking good. This year, they can restore your bald spot and your hairline. Call 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life, and that's exactly what I want. Call 317-522-2995 to schedule your free evaluation. That's 317-522-2995, and check out my results at WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard in hair restoration. Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. That's Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's online, markdietel.com, MarkDietel.com. Today, whether you're downsizing, maybe you're in for an upgrade, Mark Dietel's going to have all the answers for you because he's going to guarantee an offer in 3 days or he will list it for free. How about Mike and Loretta from Mooresville? The kids were grown, moved out, and they wanted to downsize and move closer to the grandkids. What did they do? They turned it over to Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel got it done right, as he always does. Everybody is happy, and you will be too. The best in realty? It's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty today. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, it's markdietel.com. Do it today. MarkDietel.com.
Hey, Indy. Tim Pierson here, founder of Chattanooga Whiskey, the only Tennessee high malt. We all want to know what craft really means. The definition of craft bourbon is Chattanooga Whiskey. Our people, our recipe, our bourbon. We spent years perfecting a style of bourbon that no other distillery can make except for Chattanooga Whiskey. We call it Tennessee High Malt, and it's the dark chocolate to every other bourbon's milk chocolate. So next time you want something truly craft, drink Chattanooga Whiskey, enjoy responsibly.
The Pacers are back home to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Thursday evening at 6:30. on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
And 107.5 The Fan.
Oh, we are back. I got Brendan here. Just met Brendan today. I feel like we're probably bros at this point.
I think so.
Yeah. Still working.
If I ever get married, you're coming.
Oh, you know it. If you invite me or not, I'll wedding crash it. I'm not afraid to do that.
No, we're already at that stage. I'm saying.
I love that. Exciting. I'm not going to bring you a gift, but I will bring you my entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing to, it's like a public service I'm bringing to the Indianapolis world.
Why don't you just stand in for the priest? I'm Catholic, so I have to have a church wedding.
I have actually married a person before in Indianapolis.
In a Catholic?
No, it was at the Scottish Rite Cathedral. The beautiful
close
one.
enough. So you're technically a priest.
I did. They lasted 9 months. So probably don't want to hire me. Kind of bad luck. But you know who's good luck? The man of many, many jobs. I'm saying there's Steve Harvey and Greg Rakestraw. They have more jobs than almost anybody. Hardest working guy I know. Known Greg for a long time. Excited that I am on this side interviewing him. So, Greg, are you on the air? I don't even know.
Oh, we still have 5 minutes until he comes on.
Brendan, I'm not coming to the wedding. I feel like that was one. You know what? That's like a frat boy prank.
I would have corrected him,
but you were enjoying it so much.
I didn't say anything. Well, that and the fact that he went in and he just met me for the first time today, and I didn't get any praise during that segment. So I was like, all right, we'll just see where this goes. And
what do you mean a frat boy prank? You have a clock in front of you, Scott. And
it's 1:55.
It says 2 o'clock on the board.
Oh, my
Scott,
gosh.
what are you doing?
Oh, Lord.
It says 2 o'clock in the back corner of the studio, and you have a clock in front of you.
Oh, God, I tell you right now.
And you were wearing your glasses.
Yeah, they're not strong enough. Got to increase, and there's not many levels I can increase these readers, but I will share right now, hoping I get that Colts coaching job. Because this thing just became a dumpster fire.
Well, thank you.
We're going to use that soon.
Actually, now your clock management skills is going to be the question during the next Colts interview. You're going to get a third interview. They'll be like, Scott, your clock manager, you were 5 minutes early, taking the first time out.
Did you see the Colts clock management? Do you think that question was ever even mentioned? It's more like, hey, you're a leader of men. I'm a leader of men. I told him I'm a leader of men and women too. I'm open to that. See, that's the point. I am not stuck. Like, do you think Bill Belichick is a leader of men and women? No.
Maybe.
And I think Bill Belichick, greatest coach ever, because he won with an owner who's a jerk. That Bob Kraft. Right off the bat, I will judge you on your clothes. If you're a dude that wears like a baby blue shirt and then still has a white collar, I don't like you. That is a problem to me. I will judge you even at the country club in Palos Hills. A guy doesn't show up wearing a baby blue shirt, white collar.
I have to tell you something.
Okay.
I wore a baby blue shirt with a white collar at Cubs convention 2 weeks ago.
No way! Really? Come on now. Brent, I'm out of the wedding totally now. Let me look. Okay, you got to explain yourself.
I think I look good.
You kind of do. I got to give you that. Though, you know what? I think you look better now. But
really?
you can't wear a Delts 2017 sweatshirt to the Cubs convention.
No, this is comfy for the studio. I think I look pretty good.
Well, I'll say this. Have you posted this on your Twitter? Can you send that out?
Yeah.
Okay, people
have seen it.
Okay.
Clearly.
Your suit looking good.
Thank you.
Suit looking good. I like the pocket square.
Right.
That's dynamite.
Shirt needs some work, too?
I just think if you went all blue, that'd have been good, or all white.
I get it. I wanted to be a little bit different that night.
Okay. Well, you did stand out, but who knows? Who knows who's the general manager of the Cubs right now?
Well, Jed Hoyer is the team president. Carter
Right.
Hawkins is the GM.
Right. Maybe they're not down with that, but maybe the Ricketts family all showed up. Family reunion. Now Brendan's getting a little upset. He's like, please, easy.
No, I fully expected to get roasted at some point today.
No,
So-
I'm not a roaster of the people I work with. That's why I didn't say anything to Jimmy.
Well, you just
So
roasted
much
Hammer for
there.
like 5 minutes last segment.
He's not in the room.
He's downstairs. He can probably hear you.
He would be roasting
with that
me
Beech
harder.
Grove hearing.
Oh, my gosh. Is there any place that's less truthful in their name than Beech Grove? There's no beach there.
No beach.
No Grove.
Okay, so you let off this segment with Greg Rakestraw. We promise that Greg Rakestraw will be with us 70 seconds from now. Scott Long, Brendan King, Jimmy Cook, Greg Rakestraw with us next.
They're being thorough, and I get it. The amount of candidates.
13 different people.
Head coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
It's been a bit underwhelming around here with the coaching search.
What are we up to numbers-wise now, 16? Who could be next?
If Jeff Saturday is the hire.
I don't think I'm ready to go that far just yet.
Brian Callahan, Raheem Morris.
Any way that Saturday's not going to be in Final Five? Your home for Colts football is 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm Deidre Hall with a message about your eye health. My mother had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, which means my family members are at greater risk. AMD affects vision, and having low vision as a result of wet AMD, the more severe form of AMD, can mean a task like driving can become a major challenge.
I'm Dr. Sada of the Doheny Eye Institute and UCLA. AMD is the most common cause of severe, irreversible vision loss in older adults in the U.S. AMD affects central vision, which lets you see fine details. About 9 million Americans are living with wet AMD or are at risk. If you're over 50, smoke, or have a family history of wet AMD, you could be at increased risk. If a healthcare professional suspects wet AMD, a retina specialist can confirm the diagnosis and work with you on a treatment plan.
Routine eye care, including regular eye exams, can help maintain your vision. Visit www.geteyesmart.org for more information.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis.
When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. Ensure fire safe response.
The Pacers are back home to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Thursday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Some music, Jimmy Cook. That feels right. Feeling kind of romantic here on Monument Circle on it's an ugly day.
It was snowing on our way in.
It's kind of got that South Bend weather to it. That's not a compliment.
See, the thing about South Bend is that you get the lake effect, but it's not Chicago. At least in Chicago, you have the scenery. South Bend, my dad's a Notre Dame alum. That's
right.
We got that going for us.
Oh,
but
so you grew up
yeah,
in the pocket.
Well, I grew up going to football games, so fell in love. But anyway, go ahead. Hey, now you can welcome on Rake, by the way.
Greg is my mentor in this business. You would have been very ashamed. Greg Rakestraw, a friend, a mentor, the hardest working man. I know, personally, you'd be proud of me. I did a Colts interview for the coaching job, Greg, before I came here. After this interview, I'm going to try to be the next magic man in Olivia Wilde's life. I'm flying out to L.A. after this. Greg Rakestraw, we're going to play a game, Greg. This is a big time of year. Big time of year for Greg. All the women's girls sectionals start. Do they start tomorrow night?
They start tomorrow night. I have one girls basketball game this week. That would be the sectional final at Noblesville, which will likely have two of the top 7 or 8 teams in the state. Noblesville, HSE, Zionsville, and another team that you know very well.
Okay, let's just say I know that's the state rankings. If you look at Max Preps, because I've looked, top 4 teams in the state are in that sectional. Those 4 teams, including Fishers.
South Bend, Washington. South Bend, Washington.
Well, I looked last week.
They're the number 1 team in the state.
On the Max Preps.
I don't care. South Bend, Washington's number 1 team in the state.
I can
the other
back
4
up.
teams that I've been mentioned are all really good. But South Bend, Washington's the top team in the state.
Rake's right, Scott.
Thanks for your time, Greg. I've really appreciated you being on.
Take care, fellas.
No, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little thing where I'm going to have you name off a job that you have, and then I'm going to ask, either Brendan or I will ask you a question about that job, and then you get 2 minutes to talk, and we will just cut you off in mid-sentence.
Okay.
We'll have a buzzer. That means you move on.
Now, is it okay if I talk less than 2 minutes? Is that okay?
Well, this is a big opportunity for you, Greg, so just consider this might be a chance.
I'm sure that the audience that's listening knows me already, but I appreciate that. Thank
okay.
you.
All right, so let's start. You pick, we brought up high school girls basketball. Give us your insight on what you've heard, people talking around. You've already stated South Bend, Washington. Go.
Well, first of all, the voices in my head are always the ones that I treat as the most important. So let's acknowledge that in terms of people kind of talking about stuff. But I did the pairing show last Sunday, so I had to have something of some degree of intelligence to speak about 64 different sectionals across the state of Indiana. For those that don't know, Scott's wonderful daughter, Maddie, is the team manager and the inspirational heart, I'm not kidding about that, of the Fishers Tigers. And so Scott's a little partial to Fishers, who brought back all 5 starters from last year's sectional runner-up team. They lost to Noblesville, who want to win the state championship. Noblesville this year does not have Ashlyn Shade, nor their 6'4" center, and I forget Brooklyn's last name. I don't want to say it improperly. But without 2 of their 5 starters, yet they are still one of the best teams in the state. What is different for those in 4A this year is that South Bend, Washington, with now 2 of the 3 Reynolds sisters playing, the older one is at Maryland. Plus, they've got another player that is committed to play at Purdue out of their group. They are thought to be one of the best teams in the country. So South Bend, Washington is 23-0. Only they and Twin Lakes are undefeated in Indiana high school girls basketball heading to the postseason. Sectional play starts tomorrow night. The best sectional in the state will be the one at Noblesville because Fishers, HSE, Zionsville, Noblesville, all in the top 7 or 8 teams in the state, and likely a couple of all-stars coming out of that group as well. So whomever comes out of that group probably has the best chance of competing with South Bend, Washington. That would be at the semi-state round of the tournament. But again, South Bend, Washington, the favorite in 4A.
Okay, that was 2 minutes, Greg, and you nailed that, man. If you haven't heard Greg do the sectional pairings, who's that crazy man that you do them with?
Well, I'm the crazy one. Bob Lovell is the other guy.
No, Bob Lovell is
the GOAT.
Is the greatest guy ever and certifiably certifiable. So next, Brendan, what job does Greg have that you want to hear 2 minutes on?
Well, Rake, we were talking about this earlier. Are you the next host of Family Feud?
I am not. I did not know that there was a job available. Now I'm almost on my Indy TV as much as Steve Harvey. So if something happened to Steve, is that job open?
I love that. That's maybe a solid answer. That one you could stay under 20 seconds. Hit me with another one of Rake's jobs you'd like to know 2 minutes about. Brendan.
Well, I think I know. Rake technically is one of my bosses when I do play-by-play for high school sports. So I feel like I know. I have a good grasp of what Rake does, Scott, to be honest.
Let's go. Indy 11, 2 minutes. Tell us what's happening in the city.
Well, the Indy 11 officially start training camp on Wednesday, February the 1st. That's the date that all teams get to open their training camps. First game of season 10 of the Indy 11, I want to say, is now 39 days away on March the 11th at Al Lang Stadium in downtown St. Petersburg as they take on the always tough Tampa Bay Rowdies. There are 5 preseason friendlies coming up for the Indy 11. February the 10th against Butler, February the 14th against Indiana Wesleyan, February the 19th against Chicago Fire 2. All of those at the Grand Park Indoor Event Center. They will then go to play the Chicago Fire of Major League Soccer fame, their reserve squad, February the 25th. Come back home for a friendly against Forward Madison on March the 3rd, and then kick off their 10th season in total, the second under the leadership of Mark Lowry. The Indy 11 made some tremendous moves in the offseason as they brought in Garin Catholic's own Cam Lindley, his second stint with the team, but notable names like Sebastian Guenzati, one of the all-time leaders in scoring in the USL, a player like Jack Blake that played for Mark some 6 years ago in his days in Jacksonville, and most recently Aiden Quinn, one of the best midfielders in the league over the course of the last several years. So it's a team that'll look a lot different than last year's squad.
All right, that was great stuff on the Indy 11. You know I'm a huge soccer supporter. Indy 11, love that. This was my idea, by the way, Greg, not Brendan's. I know you do some work with
Brendan's just a pretty face on radio. I get that.
He is damn handsome. It is like really off-putting. So here's my next question. What is the craziest questions that give me a couple that you have heard after a Colts post game? Of course, Greg.
That's a good question.
What is your title with that?
Chief Therapy Officer.
Well, do you have a couple that just stand out? Maybe even if you remember the game. If you don't remember the game, that's fine. But I would love to hear, because you are Indianapolis's therapist, and boy, did we need him this year.
Lord knows that was the case this year. I'm not sure if there is a favorite question, but I will tell you I'll peel back the curtain a little bit.
Yes.
So the first game was so bizarre, and obviously it with it ending in a tie, and so and it was also such a long game. We didn't have a chance to take many phone calls in that game. It's kind of like the Minnesota game, where the game was so long that we didn't get many phone calls, even though it was obviously a horrid ending for the Colts. The next game was the meltdown in Jacksonville, and I literally looked at Bill Brooks and Barry Krause and said, "Hey, listen. It won't take long for somebody to call in and ask for Frank Reich to be fired." And I said, so we're going to allow people to kind of speak their piece and vent and say, hey, this is my take. But obviously, as the Colts, as in we work for the team official postgame show, it's probably best that, if somebody goes, hey, I think Frank should be fired, what do you think? Probably best for us to not respond. Scott, how many callers into the show do you think we got before that exact scenario played out?
Let's take it. Okay, Jimmy, how many callers we're going to...
This is an all Indiana bets over-under right here on the segment.
Okay, I would make that 2.5. So, and I would have taken the under.
Same.
Okay.
That's the first call you're getting in your mind.
You're both cashing winning tickets. It was the second caller of the show.
Yeah, it felt second caller, and the first one was probably a ringer. Just like, well, you know what, the Colts seem optimistic, and it was like Barry Krause, and he changed his voice.
It was Mom offering her condolences.
It was Mom, okay.
It was going to be like, so yeah, I get that.
Okay, and have you considered maybe using the buzzer on your post game? Because it's been fun so far. We didn't even get to do the buzzer on that one. Brendan, what's another job that Rake has that you'd always wanted to ask him about?
Well, I was going to ask Rake, due to his post game duties, Rake, with the coaching search for the Colts right now, I don't think I've had a chance to ask you this question. Do you lean more offensive/defensive for your preferred hire?
Much like Scott's comedy days before he became a corporate comedian,
yes,
very much offensive.
Do you carry a mic with you that you can just drop wherever you are? Because that was dynamite. Okay, I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
All right, so my thought is, hey, if at pick 4, you're finally going to get to take a young quarterback for the first time, really since Andrew Luck 11 years ago. Now, you could argue you need to make sure you move up to 1 to bypass the Texans. I don't think Houston's going to make a trade with you in your own division. So if there's a quarterback you particularly want, it's time to be having a conversation with the folks up in Chicago about that pick. And if you're going to go young at the quarterback position and get off the quarterback carousel that they have been on for the last 4 or 5 years, then you want to make sure you have the head coach that aligns with him. So there are some great candidates that have a defensive background. Raheem Morris, most likely of that group. I would have loved to have a chance to talk with D'Amico Ryans, but you can't blame the guy for going home, likely, as to where he's going to end up as being the head coach of the Houston Texans. And so with that, give me a sharp, young offensive mind that you are bringing here to help tutor the next, we hope, great Colts quarterback.
I don't think there is one. I just don't think there is one that obviously there's a guy that was the Saints coach, but that's not in the cards. I don't believe that. And you got to give up probably at least one first-round draft pick to get him. Rick, I want a defensive guy personally because I feel like there's 2 or 3 really good head coaches that are leaders of men, but also guys that are tough. I think like Brian Flores did a great job in Miami. I know that he is not the favorite in regards to many of the owners right now because he's got a lawsuit against him. But I think Mike Tomlin's as good, if not the best coach in the NFL. I want a guy like him. I just want him for the post-game press conference. He's my favorite guy ever to hear.
I would say if they're going to go with a defensive-minded coach,
yes,
my money would be on Raheem Morris.
That's who I want. I think that's the most logical. I think you look at 11, 12 years ago, he was in Tampa. He was a super young guy. He was do you remember who the quarterback was then?
Would that have been
Kansas
Freeman,
State? Yes. Josh Freeman was the quarterback.
The one-day quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. Remember that day?
Yes. And they won 9 games with him. He got put in such a bad situation. I really like Raheem Morris. That would be my guy. And, of course, I'm sure, I have a little insight. I did an interview earlier today for the coaching job. It was my time, like a jury summons. And they want to know who's going to be your offensive coordinator.
Are you sure that wasn't some sort of like special interview? Like, did you go there under the auspices that you thought it was the head coaching interview, but it really was for like some other position? Was this? I've seen like staged interviews for like the benefit of the overall well-being of the person in the past. And I know people behind the scenes there. Obviously, I've been getting a paycheck there since 2012. So can you tell me who you interviewed with, and then maybe I can tell you whether you actually interviewed for the head coaching job?
I'm not going to give you names. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Sure.
The BC, not Big Cheese.
Okay.
His name's Bradley Shefers. Yes, that was my guy. He did some refereeing too on the side. So, good points. Man, what is your other job?
Actually, been for the head coach of a 78 CYO team. Just as a heads up,
yes,
they may call themselves the Colts. I don't think it was the actual Indianapolis.
That hurts. I hope this is real. I don't even know anymore.
You are. There is no virtual reality on Sports.
Are we on the air?
You are legitimately on the air from the DriveHubler.com studios. And Scott, that's also a way to be brought back is oversell the sponsors. So, next time you come back from the segment, as you're learning on the job here, drop a DriveHubler.com studios. That'll help your cause.
They can hear that when you whisper buzzer in the microphone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that.
Man, you got to work on your comedy, Jimmy.
This isn't TV, Scott. They don't turn your mic. Jimmy doesn't turn your mic on and off.
I'm on Wish TV. I'm not on TV.
This is not play-by-play. There is no talk-back button at this point. You just have to, turn your mic off and yell at somebody.
This interview has been sponsored by the Mower Shop and the mowershop.com. I got to tell you, they're located in Fishers. I have brought my mowers there. Wonderful work. Big fan. This is that off season of the mowing world where you got to get your oils changed and things of that nature. And you can't do it yourself. You're going to get hurt.
Your oil changed in your lawnmower?
Yeah.
Yes, Brennan, it's actually a real thing. Yes.
It's a real thing, man. Have you ever
Not like when you came to Butler for the first time, took you snipe hunting? That's fake. Actually getting your mower serviced in the off season, that's a legitimate thing. Yes, sir.
Okay, see, I was just used to, my grandparents are from Italy, and my grandfather used the same mower since 1972, and I grew up cutting his lawn with that, and there was it was just...
We've lost Greg, by the way, just to clarify that. So,
well, he had enough of you, clearly.
I think he, right now, is doing this to me. That was one of the best
What you think
segments.
of the last 18 minutes?
That was great, wasn't it? We need to have that with lots of our guests. Like this week. I want to insert the buzzer. I want that.
Okay.
Brendan, can you sell that Italian story again? Because it sounded really cool and I hung up on you accidentally. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, my grandparents are from Italy. They're still around. Ada and Felix, bless their hearts. They're in their 90s now. But anyway, I grew up driving to Orland Park.
Yes.
To cut my grandfather's lawn with the same lawnmower that's probably been in that house since 1972. And it was it was probably 2002 at that point. So
What's the last name?
Izzy, I-Z-Z-I.
Oh, I love
That's my mom's maiden name. They're official, you know.
And and now for a lot of us in Indiana, I grew up in Iowa, but I've lived in Indiana since 1990. Italy, we believe in Italian dressing.
Yeah.
I don't really know this Italian thing. I think that must be a Chicago thing. Most authentic Italian restaurant for many years in Indianapolis, Olive Garden. That was for a long time. That was the number one, like you'd see Nuvo. That was like a newspaper.
They're going to be the sponsor of the hotline by the time you're done hosting this show this week.
Hey, look, I'm
actually,
not.
Them and Chi-Chi's.
Scotty.
Yes.
Iozos, Irias.
No, there's some many.
Mama Corollas, Vito's. Okay, you had the right fat guy on to break down all the Italian restaurants across town, believe me.
Do you do that as a regular segment where you break down like your favorite restaurants in Indianapolis? Because I'm going to trust you, my friend.
Now you remember in my radio days, because you and I have been talking to each other on the radio from the time that both of us actually had hair, and we fake it now.
Yes.
But in those days, there would be a thing that would, the official fat guy recommendation.
Yes, I remember that.
All of those places. Vito's is my favorite of that group. I mean, like literally, I drive across town, at the drop of a hat to go get their fettuccine Alfredo, breadsticks, the whole 9 yards. It's my favorite of the group. But you can't go wrong with any of those four. Not to mention, frankly, Olive Garden is still a staple of the Rakestraw household.
Man, that you heard no buzzer during that segment. I was on the edge of my seat listening to that because some things we always get into about sports, and I feel like that is something that pulls us apart. Politics can pull us apart. You know what brings us together? Food.
Olive Garden.
Well, it is. What's their
my favorite thing to pull apart, by the way, is that garlic bread loaf at Vito's. Pull that apart, you'll enjoy it.
I'm hungry, man. Where is that at?
That would be, and they're by the way, they're loving the free publicity. They're not paying a dime for this segment, by the way, so they should owe the folks at Radio 1 some money. Stop 11 and 135, just down the street from the Perry Meridian 6th Grade Academy in Perry Meridian High School.
Are you doing the 6th grade Perry Meridian game Wednesday night? I mean, I know you had like a free hour and a half. You swing by. Do you ever go to like a travel basketball game for like 4th graders and you're like, what this needs is a little Rakestraw love?
Much like you would say the exact same thing. I'll play the Feynman Bar Mitzvah if the money is right. So nobody has offered me.
I've done it. I have done that one. It's a good gig.
Cash to do the Perry versus Southport 6th grade game. But if negotiations can be had, if you want to be my agent for that one, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay, before we end this segment, I just want to know: is there another job that you have? Because it's hard to keep track. Of course, ISC Sports Network. Love that. I used to do shows there, but is there another job that you do that you could give us like a minute on that we'd like to hear about? I don't want to leave anybody out.
How about the voice of the IUPUI Jaguars?
I was waiting.
Well, we still haven't gotten over that. haven't gotten over that hump yet in terms of getting that conference when I think that's going to happen this weekend, hopefully twice, with Milwaukee and Green Bay coming to town, and Green Bay's on the other end of the team at the bottom of the table, as we would say in soccer, with the IUPUI Jaguars. But the aforementioned crazy man and Bob Lovell and I will have those games on ESPN Plus Thursday at 11 a.m. against Milwaukee and Saturday at noon against Green Bay.
Saturday at noon. That one, I know my All Indiana Bets co-host, Jason Hammer, degenerate pick of the week. I'm taking IUPUI in that one. The Phoenix, is that Green Bay?
I think the two teams are a combined 5-43. So I do think that would qualify for Jason's degenerate pick of the week, if that being the case. Yes.
They just fired Bo Ryan's son. Is that correct? As the head coach.
Correct. Yep.
One of my friends I went to college with, Adam Owens, he's the director of operations at Green Bay, and he sat with me in the broadcast booth in good old Appleton, Wisconsin for one game this summer. So that was a blast. Rake, last thing for me, you were talking with the aforementioned Bob Lovell about high school ball this weekend, specifically Ben Davis. Been a minute since we talked about them. Team to beat in 4A?
Absolutely. And again, much like South Bend Washington, the girls' side's a clear favorite. So is Ben Davis. The stat that just amazes me about this Ben Davis team, and I have seen them a bunch already this year. As of now, I don't have them again until the regional round of the tournament. And that's assuming they make it out of the sectional, which isn't a guarantee because both Pike and Southport in their sectional are pretty good. And Southport took them to overtime back at the end of November. But Ben Davis, if they win out, and depending on what their draw is in terms of the sectional, in other words, they have to play 3 games instead of 2. If they win out, they would finish with the most wins in an unbeaten season in the history of Indiana high school basketball at 33-0.
Wow.
They have already won the Hall of Fame Classic. They've already won the Marion County Tournament. And going into Saturday night's game, of their 21 wins, 15 had been against teams ranked in the top 25 in the Sagarin ratings. At one point they were number 1 in own wins over teams that were 2, 3, and 4 in terms of the state polls. The schedule they have played has been rugged. They're down to just 4 games left to go this regular season. It's something special that Don Carlisle has put together over on the west side of town.
Greg, you've been dynamite. I just want to give you the last word. Go ahead, Greg. Anything else you have to share?
I hope I see you Saturday night at Noblesville. I hope that Mad Dogs, Fishers, Tigers are in the sectional championship game. So
okay, thank you very much.
With the entirety of the Long family.
I'm actually working. Sadly, it's heartbreaking to me. My daughter, just a little background, some people know this, is on the autism spectrum. I do a lot of fundraisers for people with intellectual disabilities, and it's been a magical 3 years. She has been part of the program as a manager. She gets to sit on the bench, and you think about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was no inclusion pretty much at all with kids like my daughter, and now it goes on. I know people like to rip the United States for one thing or the other. We are the best country in the world in the way we treat people like my daughter. So I'm a big person pushing out that kind of message. And Greg, I appreciate you bringing that up. Have a great time at the mill.
You got it. See you guys.
Thanks, Rake.
Am I supposed to close this out now?
I would like if you did.
All right. Coming up next.
We got to get to your rant, don't we?
We don't have any guest from now on, do we?
Got to get to your rant.
We have got a rant. I do a thing on All Indiana Bets called Stop It. And I am going to help Colts fans, much like a Greg Rakestraw does, with therapy about the Colts. I have messages on how you have to look at the next year, 2, 5, or 10 with the Colts.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. Hey, this is JMV. We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my bald spot in my crown area and PRP to keep my hairline and non-transplanted hair looking good. This year, they can restore your bald spot and your hairline. Call 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life, and that's exactly what I want. Call 317-522-2995 to schedule your free evaluation. That's 317-522-2995, and check out my results at WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard in hair restoration.
This Valentine's, it will be love at first sight when you see Diamonds Direct's Classics collection. This must-have collection includes diamond stud earrings, diamond hoop earrings, diamond pendants, diamond bracelets. These beautiful romantic gifts even come in any budget. Diamond Classics are like the little black dress. It's jewelry every woman needs, something she can wear every day, whether just running errands or going out on the town. A nice pair of diamond stud earrings goes with just about anything. Now is the perfect time to celebrate your love with the gift of jewelry. Diamonds Direct has all of the trending fashion jewelry she needs to complete any outfit. Whether she needs a pop of color with a gorgeous gemstone necklace or classic diamond studs to wear every day, it's all at Diamonds Direct. Come and let us help you start the jewelry box of her dreams. And remember, with every purchase at Diamonds Direct, you're guaranteed the best value price and a luxurious shopping experience. Come celebrate your love this Valentine's at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the fun extends beyond the beach because here the arts are alive, the food is al fresco, and the nightlife is electric. So let's forget the cold and find our place in the sun. Let's explore captivating collections at the Salvador Dali Museum and bask in bay views from the St. Pete Pier. Let's fill up on fresh-caught cuisine and catch up over cold craft beer on rooftop patios. Day or night, let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Get the truck you've always wanted and get $6,000 off at Tom Wood Ford. Yes, America's best-selling truck, the powerful F-150, is $6,000 off now at Tom Wood Ford. Need an SUV? Take $4,000 off of Ford Escapes with unmatched design and ultimate tech capabilities. Buy with confidence, as most of our vehicles include lifetime powertrain coverage at no cost to you. It's all good at Tom Wood Ford on the corner of 96 and Keystone.
It's all good at Tom Wood. Bum, bum.
Tax, title, and doc fees extra. See dealer for details.
Imagine the possibilities of getting the backyard of your dreams. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts.
It's Kevin and Query.
Miles Turner going to put pen to paper on his contract extension. If Miles Turner plays out this contract, that's going to be a decade in Indiana. Today's NBA, you don't often see guys play a decade in one place. Former lottery pick with no ties to the area. Kudos to Miles Turner.
I think he just knows that his value here is as good as it's going to be anywhere.
This is the best place for him to then cash in at 29 years old, coming up in that 2025 free agency.
Kevin and Query.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. .93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Fan Midday Show. Thanks to Don Fisher, Tony East, and Greg Rakestraw. Last half hour, Brendan King, Scott Long, Jimmy Cook from the DriveHubler.com studio. All right. I have no idea what's going to happen for the next 10 minutes. I was just told what to say and how to throw
about the whole
this.
show?
Well, that's fair.
Are you being held hostage this whole time? Is that what we're learning?
I love my family.
Blink twice if you need me to come over there and save you, BK. I got you.
So this segment is called Stop It. And this is Scott Long.
Colts fans, I feel you. I'm a Colts fan. It's been a very upsetting year. There feels like there's so much pressure on this draft. Hey, let go. Stop it. Stop being concerned about this draft. It truly does not matter. Let me give you some facts. There's a guy named Patrick Mahomes. He's in the Super Bowl. You might have heard of him. Pretty good. Jimmy's got a fathead in his bedroom of said Patrick Holmes, who's 27 years old. Josh Allen didn't have the greatest end of the year, but come on, Josh Allen. Wouldn't we all love Josh Allen? He's kind of like Buffalo's Andrew Luck. He makes things happen, sometimes not good, but you love him. 26 years old. Joe Burrow. I'm not sure Joe Burrow wasn't the best quarterback in the NFL this year. They covered every spread until yesterday, and they could have covered that one. 26 years old. Trevor Lawrence, 23 years old. That means for 15 years he's going to be in the AFC South. Am I leaving anybody out? Well, a lot of NFL scouts will tell you Justin Herbert is the best quarterback of them all. I would love to have just 24 years old. Is there a guy in this draft that can match those guys? I don't know, but you got to stop it. You got to quit being concerned that this is going to be the perfect pick that's going to put the Colts back in the money. You got to stop it. You got to also calm down. That's something that I need to do sometimes. But here's one thing I'm going to give a tip to men right now. Don't tell your girlfriend or your wife to calm down. That does nobody well. You're better off cursing at them than using those words. Well, hey, why don't you calm down? Don't say that. Stop it. I know it doesn't seem very optimistic. The few seasons ahead. It's not. That's why our owner is trying everything to make a difference. I give him some credit. I'm not the national media. I'm not down on this guy. He loves Indianapolis. He loves rock and roll music. I love Indianapolis. I love rock and roll music. I want to make the Colts better too, but it's not that easy. Stop it. Let's not blame anybody for at least the next, day until I come back tomorrow. And I've got people I'm going to be blaming. So I got to take a break. That was my Stop It segment. Thank you very much. That was. Oh, that feels good. That feels. That was my journalism degree. I have a journalism degree.
Do you actually?
I do. University of Iowa. Writer's Workshop.
So you're smarter than me.
No, Butler. Well, I am smarter because Butler's a lot more expensive than Iowa.
That's fair. I got accepted to Iowa.
Yeah, like Iowa, University of Iowa and the University of Indiana University. Very similar in that, 55% of the students are from Chicago, right?
Oh, the Chicago suburbs invade every college campus.
But those two, it's like when they invade, it seems very different. Like if they go down to Champaign, which is mostly...
That's where my cousins went.
What do you think of Champaign?
Never did it for me.
Armpit.
We actually, my high school, we went to the state championship my senior year, and we played at the University of... That's how much of a difference Illinois is to Indiana. You get to play at Champaign in Illinois. You play at Lucas Oil Stadium here.
Oh, no. It's all better. Illinois has some really good things. Champaign ain't one of them. You know what? It's the Beach Grove in regards to its name. Who would pop a cork of champagne in Illinois when they're in Champaign? Nobody. It's the worst campus in the Big Ten. Probably the prettiest, Bloomington. Jimmy Cook, what do you say?
Well, that's where his diploma's from.
Down.
So
yeah, but I mean, he actually paid money. He has a right to say.
But Bloomington hands down. Spring, fall, summertime, winter, doesn't matter.
It is. I will agree. And Illinois, the worst. University of Illinois, many other nice places. Oh, gosh, we've learned so much today, haven't we?
Have you had fun today?
I've still got my fingers crossed. There is about 20 minutes left. It's going to happen for me. It's going to kick in. Then I'm going to finally have some energy and put out to the audience what they need.
Which is?
Oh, I don't know. You can tell. I have no plans when I do these things. It's all just...
plans like Brad Shefers.
I live with this in my head all the time. You have no understanding of how exhausting. If you've been listening, like, I've enjoyed this. I've learned some things. Maybe some things were a little uncomfortable. I will tell you right now, I live this all the time. And I did a podcast with Frank Caliendo and the Howard Stern of Phoenix. It was called.
Yeah, can he come on or no?
Yeah, I think Thursday.
Oh, when I'm not here.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for nothing.
See, I'm kind of, yeah. Jimmy, I'm going to tell you it's going to be great when he's on. And it was, if people were like, oh, you got to do the podcast with him. Yes, I got to do it. It was not called Frank, John, and Scott. It was called the Caliendo Cast. There's me. Who's not part of the Caliendo. I mean, I'm just a guy who got to say about 20 words most of the podcast. But that was okay. And one of the people who loved me on it figured out I kept getting interrupted all the time. And I would do this every time. And they never heard it. But some of the audience heard me exasperated that I didn't get to talk. So I know you've probably felt that way at times, Brandon.
I've had a great time.
I like that.
I'm just chilling, man.
You are. You've got a really calm vibe to you. Have you always had that? Because, I never had it. You can tell. I'm just like.
Well, I was the lead of the dog pound at Butler, the student section. I was the lead guy.
Those were great years too.
Oh yeah, we went to the Sweet 16 my senior year. It was the Holtman years, so I had a good time. But I let out all my rambunctiousness then.
Yeah.
I'm. You know what, Scott? You know this. Hey, I'm going to spring training in March. Opening day in South Bend is April the 8th. I'm just having a great time with you boys. I'm just happy to be here.
Oh my god!
I'm just happy to be here, guys.
That sounds so good. I think everybody that lives in South Bend should get a free ticket to spring training for at least a week. Because that is I know you were trying to be real positive about it versus Chicago, and it gets worse weather because it gets lake effect.
That's what I'm saying. We had snow on opening day last year.
Yeah, it's worse though? Muskegon, Michigan.
Yeah.
They get this massive amount of, and I don't know if people realize, you're not held hostage. You don't have to live in a place like that. I know some of you today woke up and was like, why am I living in Indianapolis? I could live somewhere where it's warmer. Because Indianapolis is really great about 9 months of the year. And this has been a mild winter.
It has, so far.
So, yeah, no, I know. So, I'm just telling you, I could live almost anywhere. I rate this the most underrated city in the United States. It just, I've traveled pretty much every major city. What's the most underrated city that you have been to that's not Indianapolis?
Underrated city I've been to that's not Indianapolis.
People wouldn't guess.
My favorite city, so Chicago's my favorite city because I'm from there.
Yeah.
The best city that people can go to that doesn't come to mind, it's not in the United States, but it's just north, Toronto. It's the most underrated city to me. It's the best.
Do you know what the most overrated city in Canada is? Toronto. I mean, that doesn't count. You got to pick something like
But
Pittsburgh.
people don't think about it. Okay, fine.
Have you been to Pittsburgh?
I have been to Pittsburgh.
Great city.
Okay, like an underrated. I don't know. You put me on the spot here, Scott.
That's
Jimmy,
what I
you
do.
got an answer?
Jimmy. Not Kansas City. You can't go there.
Well, I mean, Kansas City's a great spot. I had family that lived up in Cleveland, and I liked it during the summertime. Particularly as the LeBron economy started to continue to roll in. I've liked Cleveland, yeah. So I'm sure that's underrated. That's always in the jokes with Cleveland and Detroit, other parts of that stretch of the country that kind of get.
I got an answer for you.
That was an out of the box answer.
Got an answer for you.
I mean, that would not have gotten on the top 30.
That's what you wanted.
I loved it. I thought it was great. And Cleveland is kind of underrated, especially in the summer. But if Louis Anderson was the Family Feud host, he's like, top things on the board. And the top 30 cities that are underrated. Let me see Cleveland. He can't find the buzzer. Hit me with it.
Start where I started my career, professional career, Boise, Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
Underrated. Very fun.
Underrated. Beautiful.
Very fun. Of course, Idaho does not have the best reputation right now. But
no, but I'm just Boise itself.
Boise's awesome.
I mean, Idaho Falls is horrible.
I loved Idaho. Well, actually,
no.
There's literally 2 cities in Idaho, Boise and Idaho Falls. I guess Moscow too, but we're not talking about that.
That's way up north. That's pretty.
Well, that's where
Yes.
Anyway, I spent 4 months in Boise as the announcer for the Boise Hawks, the short season affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. And I was on a bus for half the time. I was in Boise half the other time. It was a blast.
Okay, if you want to know a little bit about my mentality, is the meaning of life is to help people that really need help. That's something I'm being serious. And whoever has the most stories wins. You got so many great stories being on a bus.
You're a comedian, though.
No, but just in life, when you sit down and you've talked to people that aren't comedians, and they're like, I love talking to this guy. He works at the mower shop. He's an awesome dude. He's helping people, and he's got great stories about mowers. And I love mowers. I grew up with a dad who was manic depressive. I called him if Bob Knight without the good mood swings. That was like my dad. Very hard guy to deal with. You don't just naturally become like me. And it was like a test tube to create a comedian. And the mower would break down all the time. I'm like 11 years old. I have no skills towards this stuff at all. And he was like, you were home all day, summer break. Why didn't you fix the mower? I needed a mower shop.
You needed the mower shop.
Oh, if there's any problem with my mower, I don't go to anybody else, by the way. I go to the mower shop because not only are they great at what they do, they're cool to deal with, too. And they're cool people. They sport the fan.
Yeah.
Are any of the other mower shops doing that? No.
Well, it is the mower shop.
Yeah, you're right. The mower shop. Love you guys. I gave you a little bonus. Rakestraw, he's pumping out Italian food that they don't sponsor. I'm about the mower shop.
Always and forever, Scott Long. Scott Long, Brendan King, Jimmy Cook. We're coming back with Jimmy's Bets next.
Hey, it's Dan Dockich for Affinity Whole Health. Guys, do something for yourselves. Go to feelgreatindy.com. I'm on a testosterone replacement program with Affinity. Let me tell you, the benefits are amazing. Go to feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
What's it like having next-gen supersonic Wi-Fi from Xfinity? Well, it's ready for major gig speeds. So it's fast, like riding a cheetah fast. And with 3 times the bandwidth, the gaming never has to end. Plus, Xfinity Supersonic Wi-Fi has the power you need to connect hundreds of devices at the same time. Unbeatable internet from Xfinity. Made to do anything so you can do anything.
Learn more about our next generation Wi-Fi technology from Xfinity to do more of what you love online. Or now through February 21st, new customers can get started with 75 megabits per second internet for only $20 a month for 12 months. Plus, there's no annual contract required, so it's risk-free. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text SAVVY to 42424. That's SAVVY to 42424.
Hey, Indy. Tim Pearson here, founder of Chattanooga Whiskey, the only Tennessee high malt. Instead of me trying to describe the unique and bold character of Chattanooga Whiskey Cask 111, in the words of a random customer review, tastes like a chocolate malt ball and dark fruit. Reminds me of a dark, sweet cereal dessert. Thank you, random customer reviewer. But don't just take their word for it. Try it for yourself. Maybe Chattanooga Whiskey Cask 111 will be your new evening dessert. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey. Enjoy responsibly.
Indy's #1 for new country.
I got some famous friends.
Nobody plays more new country. 97.1 Hank FM.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
The Pacers are back home to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Thursday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
.93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Putting a bow on a Monday. Brendan King, Scott Long, Jimmy Cook, JMV coming up top of the hour. This is from the great Eddie Garrison. Breaking news. JMV is going to be joined by Miles Turner. Miles is hopping on with John. You got to turn your mic. There you go.
That is going to be a love fest.
Yeah. So stay tuned a little bit later. JMV.
A couple rich guys talking. I love it.
All right, Jimmy, what you got?
The Jay Cook Plays of the Day.
This is me, all right? I'm not an athlete. This is my way. This is how I win.
Today's plays of the day, going to take the Golden State Warriors, lay the 5 as they are in Oklahoma City battling the Thunder. Also going to take the Timberwolves to win the money line. They host the Sacramento Kings. Plays on Twitter at the J Cook, BK, Scott Long. Whichever one of you want to take the floor first. What do you like tonight in the world of betting?
I'll lead off.
Yeah, lead off, Brendan.
I want to say, first of all, rest in peace to the great Bobby Hall, who passed away this morning.
Really?
Yeah, 84. I had a chance to meet Bobby a number of times. Great number 9, alternate captain for the Hawks, 1961 Stanley Cup
Blackhawks.
champion.
We're in a non-hockey city. A lot of people don't even know.
My before my uncle passed away, he was a season ticket holder for the Blackhawks. So we watched 3 cups together. So Bobby Hall, my uncle Dan and I met multiple times. And Bobby Hall,
so cool.
He could not have been more genuine. So in remembrance of Bobby Hall, there's only one game in the NHL tonight. That's the Blues visiting the Jets. There is a former Blackhawks Stanley Cup champion that plays for the St. Louis Blues. His name is Brandon Saad. Brandon Saad, you can get him on your sports book at plus 370 as an anytime goal scorer. He's got 14 tallies on the year. So give me Brandon Saad to score in honor of the Golden Jet, Bobby Hall.
Wasn't the Golden Jet, though? Didn't he play for the Winnipeg Jets?
He did play for the Winnipeg Jets, but the Jets do not have a former Hawk.
They do not. That is the way my friend here who grew up watching hockey. So I was telling the boys about a little show called All Indiana Bets. It appears every college and pro football season, 11 o'clock college, noon Sundays. We're, of course, just on now, NFL season. We'll even do a show this week. Jason Hammer and I, it'll be Sunday at 11 o'clock. They moved us down. There is no Colts pregame show. I don't know if you heard about that. No Colts pregame show. So we do a little show this year in college football, the last 3 months, 34-16, documented. I am on TV every week pumping out picks for free. Yesterday, 3-0 on the TV show for NFL picks, sides and totals, and 13-3 over the last month. Once again, documented, not been great at college basketball, but that's my love. I love me college basketball like you love baseball, Brendan. Big 12 action. There's really not a good card except for 2 great games. One great one, Baylor, Texas, and then later Iowa State, Texas Tech. They're on both at 9. I like Baylor getting 4.5 points at Texas. Plus 4.5. I believe Texas is not the same team since Chris Beard left unceremoniously. So I will take, yes, you heard it, Baylor plus 4.5 against Texas. Get excited about those games. Watch them. Feel a little action on it.
Well, that's one of the most famous Butler grads ever, Scott Drew.
He sure is. And, man, I remember him at Valpo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he just a product of his dad? Honestly, all sons are a product of their dad. If you look at it that way.
It's a hot take.
Exactly. But I always thought the guy that could shoot, Bryce, was going to be the great coach.
Well, he did all right.
No.
He took Grand Canyon to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but Dan Marley built that team, Phoenix Sun, and then,
Look at you.
I know a little basketball.
You know stuff.
I do know stuff in between the jokety jokes. So take the Baylor Bears. I like them in that spot. Wow, are we going to have like bets if who wins? Any kind of thing at stake here, Jimmy?
No, usually if people lose, we just forget about it and move on to the next day.
I like that. That makes it a lot better.
I mean, I've been ice cold, so.
Yeah.
So can we just, we have 3 minutes. Can we just recap today?
Please.
We had Brad Shefers. We had Chi Cheese. We had Don Fisher, Tony East, and Greg Rakestraw join us. We had, what else did we talk about today?
Well, we had Stop It.
Stop It. Yeah, we had Greg Rakestraw buzzers. We had Match Game, Family Feud, Steve Harvey.
Right.
I feel we touched on a wealth of
I feel like we didn't hardly talk about anything. That's the way my brain.
It was the show about nothing today.
I suppressed most of the things that were going on in my head. That's how scary it is to be where I'm at. But hey,
is that a win?
It's not a win-win. I will tell you, I heard that. I've never actually had a win-win. I don't know. Never in my life have I ever felt I had a win-win. I've had a win and then a horrible loss. That's the life of a gambler. And JMV comes on after us tomorrow. We're going to do this again.
We are going to do this again.
Tell your friends. People won't believe. It's like, I don't know what they got going on over at that building. On the Circle, Urban One, they are trying some fun things. They're exciting.
You see like the radio waves just pumping to the world of Scott Long.
Yeah, it might be radiation.
We're worldwide tomorrow. Well, we technically are worldwide. There was that promo once that you can listen from Indiana to Indonesia, which is true with the app.
I am big in Indonesia. It was a weekend vacation. I don't want to get into it. There's not good stories to tell. It's going to hurt my job.
Do you have any, we have 90 seconds here, Scott. Do you have any parting words for the guests that will bring them back in tomorrow at noon to 3?
I'm exhausted. I'm going to tell you, I'm exhausted.
Could you do this every day?
I don't know. I came into this like, man, I really want to do this, and now I'm not even sure. I think that it's a lot to ask of a guy of my age, but I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, you look no older than 30, my man.
Thank you. It's I'm not going to try to pretend that I don't use Botox even for radio. That is something I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get one of those JMV ads. That's going to help me out.
Yeah, well, you don't need any hair. You don't know.
Oh my God, I totally do.
You look great.
I've heard good things over there. I'm just telling you. I'm just putting it in your ear. Love those people over there, Darren and everyone. I watch the commercials.
The commercials, you got to catch them.
I can't turn them off, and you're going to be on TV the rest of your life, man. You have great lettuce now. Start fooling. Just plug in a few in the off season every once in a while.
I'll do my best. All right, so you're back here tomorrow.
I am.
We look forward to seeing you. Eddie Garrison just entered the studio, which means we got to get the hell out of here. Jimmy Cook A great job as always, my man. Congratulations to your Chiefs.
How about those Chiefs?
We love it, baby. Now you get 2 weeks off.
Down Kansas City. Listen, go on YouTube and listen to that sometime. And Jimmy and I will be on Thursday.
Yeah, Brendan King, Scott Long, Jimmy Cook will talk to you tomorrow. John's next. He's going to be joined by Miles Turner.
Wow.
Have a great one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Big low pressure and that cold front. The weather is cold, but the rumors and conversations are hot.